Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Danbury Hat Tricks Hockey on the Hat Tricks YouTube channel. Casey Bryant alongside Zach McGinnis. Joining us in a little bit will be Jack O'Mara, as tonight the Danbury Hat Tricks look to make history. 10 straight is on the line for the Danbury Hat Tricks tonight as they take on the visiting Watertown Wolves in a battle for Eastern Division supremacy. Zach, last weekend we saw a very fast-paced physical contest between the Hat Tricks and the Wolves, one that got away from Watertown in the later stages of that game as the Hat Tricks won 8-3. What did you see as that game progressed that the Hat Tricks can carry over into tonight's contest?
I saw a Danbury Hat Tricks team that was willing to respond. You take a look towards the end of that second period, Watertown has a 3-2 lead. Danbury ends up scoring 5 unanswered goals to get the victory in that game. Their defense bent, but it didn't break. But getting to that defense, that's something that Danbury's going to need to focus on. In the course of those 2 games, they gave up 100 shots on goal. Tom McGuckin stopped over 90 of them. They have to tighten things up defensively because this is a Watertown Wolves team that can move right back into first place with a win here, especially in regulation. And it's a Watertown Wolves team. It's a proud team. They were embarrassed by what happened last weekend. They're angry. I want to see how they come out and how they play the first 5 minutes of this game tonight.
You mentioned Tom McGuckin and how stellar he was. Tom McGuckin has now won 6 consecutive appearances. He'll be going again tonight for the Danbury Hat Tricks as the goaltending matchup brought to you by Ameriprise Financial and Derek Packett. Tom McGuckin enters tonight's game as one of the hottest netminders in the league. He's got himself a 6-2 record and a .901 save percentage. Going against him tonight in goal will be Jeremy Pominville, the same netminder who has been in goal last weekend against the Danbury Hat Tricks for a pair of games. Pominville has one of the best set of numbers in the league. He has a .924 save percentage, but he also has lost 4 consecutive games, Zach. He's going to be tested early and often in this contest.
He absolutely is, because this is a Danbury Hat Tricks team. We've seen it so many times already this year. They jump out fast. They usually score a goal in the first 5 minutes. If they don't score in the first 5 minutes, well, that's a different look for the Danbury Hat Tricks. So Pominville, he's going to be tested early. He makes those early saves. That will set a solid foundation for the Watertown Wolves to try and get back on the winning side of things. They, as you mentioned, they've given up their last 4. They had a pretty good grasp on first place. They saw it slip out of their hands last weekend.
And it'll be an aggressive contest. We're going to turn you over now to the public address announcer, Christian Gardecki, for the announcement of the starting lineups and the playing of the national anthem. You're watching the Danbury Hat Tricks against the Watertown Wolves on the Hat Tricks YouTube channel.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of the United States.
Welcome back for puck drop of the Danbury Hat Tricks against the Watertown Wolves for tonight's contest. And First place in the Eastern Division is on the line. Starting lineups first for the visiting Watertown Wolves. At left wing, they will have number 14, Marvin Powell. At right wing, they'll have number 66, Cole Sunstabo. And at center, they will have Dallas Desjardins, number 90, who saw a lot of two-way minutes last weekend. On defense, they will have number 27, Kyle Powell, alongside number 2, Vladimir Port. In goal will be number 1, Jeremy Pominville. Your starting lineup for your hometown Danbury Hat Tricks. On the first line, they will have Corey Anderson, Gordy Bennell, and Johnny Ruiz, a new-look second line out there for the Danbury Hat Tricks, as Carter Shinkarik earned the bump up to the top line with Phil Bronner and Nicola Levesque. On defense, they will have number 77, Aaron Atwell, and number 44, Steve Brown. And in goal for your Ameriprise Financial, brought to you by Derek Packett. Goaltending matchup is number 30, Tom McGuckin. We saw a very physical defensive game last weekend for the Danbury Hat Tricks, as evidenced by the fact that Martin Tuma really came into his own, dropped the gloves for a little bit, and was recognized by his teammates for being able to hoist the barrel with Litchfield Distillery. And in the past 2 home games, it was Atwell and Brown, respectively. So it's been a very black and blue couple of games here for the Danbury defense.
It has been a black and blue sort of way for the Danbury defense, but look out here.
Oh, Anderson with a quick shot off the wrist, and that one goes just wide at Corey Anderson with an early turnover shot.
Oh, we said Danbury wanted to get started early. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, the Danbury Hat Tricks going back to work because they know that there is an aggressive effort waiting for them in the silver and blue, as the Danbury Hat Tricks will be skating from left to right on your YouTube screen, donning their home blacks with orange trim.
So getting back to the Danbury defense, you take a look at what Marty Tuma did in the last game. He saw his goaltender, Thomas McGuckin, get tripped by a Watertown player. You have to send a message. You have to have that sort of camaraderie, that brotherhood. And you see your goaltender get tripped like that, yeah, you're going to drop the gloves. You're not going to wait for the guy to square up. You're going to send a message. That's exactly what Marty Tuma did. Aaron Atwell has done the same thing. This is a Danbury defense that wants to send that message.
Carter Shinkarik will kiss it off the glass and enter into the offensive zone on the left wing. Wins the puck behind the end line. Out in front to Phil Bronner. Turnaround shot goes well wide. Pinching in on the defense is Vlad Gavrik, who's back on the defensive line following the absence of Lenny Caglianone, who got called up to the Huntsville Havoc, as well as centerman Kendall Bolin Porter. A couple of key losses for the Hat Tricks, even though Caglianone was only here for a weekend. He still was a very physical, stalwart, shutdown defenseman last week, and Bolin Porter, a great two-way player.
Kendall Bolin Porter, he was a real good pivot for the Danbury Hat Tricks. He earns his call-up. Meanwhile, Caglianone, it was his addition to the team that allowed Gavrik to move back up to the offensive side. The Danbury Hat Tricks, they traded away Sebastian Crystal earlier in the week, so, some holes on the blue line. So filling in tonight, Casper Dearson making his return to the Danbury lineup and coming back from a lower body injury, along with Thomas Freeman. He finds himself dressed tonight as well.
Pominville will pounce on the loose puck in the blue paint. Also out there, Thomas Freeman, as you mentioned, patrolling the blue line. So the Hat Tricks will get an offensive zone draw, and out taking his first shift since returning from an injury, missing nearly a month, was number 16, Casper Dearson, on that right wing on the bottom right of your screen. As we have Steve Mealy at his natural position at the center. So some lineup juggling going on for Billy McCreary in this roster, as the faceoff is won by Watertown. Trying to chip it up the glass was Asselstein, can't connect, so as Asselstein will field it in the near side corner. Looking up for Bogjoul, goes past him, and Steve Brown will dump it in deep as we're 2 minutes gone by in the first period. Here comes Mealy with a wraparound try. It rolls off the end of his stick, and it will be carried up by the Watertown Wolves. Up the right wing is Joseph Devaney. He'll jump it in deep, and Bogjoul will retrieve. Bogjoul had a goal and an assist last week against the Danbury Hat Tricks, and that top line of Bogjoul, Boudreau, and Jurich, Zach, is one of the most dangerous, as we got a touch of icing, one of the most dangerous in the FPHL.
One of the most dangerous, especially you take a look at Tyler Jurich. Jurich, very familiar to fans here in Danbury. His season with the Danbury Titans back in 2015-2016, in 49 games played, 50 goals. 50 assists. You can't do much better than that when you're averaging 2 points a game. He was the only 100-point scorer in Danbury Titans history. Now he's wearing the opposite team's colors, and he didn't look himself last weekend. I'm expecting more out of him this time.
He did have a goal, but you are right in that he was mostly kept off of the dangerous scoring areas, as Kasich fields by the left wing and maneuvers his way in, takes a long slap shot that goes off of the defensive stick of Derek Boudreau and up into the netting, and we get a stoppage of play. 2 minutes 50 seconds gone by here in the first period.
think that one actually went over the netting, Casey. I see a couple of our young fans running into the corner after it. So
that's an impressive shot. That's like the green monster over there. You got to really get the launch angle.
You need the launch angle, but I'm happy to say the scoreboard, the video board, it survived.
Oh, good. We can't afford any more light bulbs going out on that.
No, we cannot.
McGuckin thinks about playing the puck and has to escape back to his net, as that was pinching in was Jamie Lucas, who got the scoring started last Saturday with a shorthanded goal just 11 seconds into a Hat-Tricks power play. Here's Anderson up the gut of the ice. His pass is intercepted.
On that last play, it's a miscommunication between new defenseman Vlad Gavrik and McGuckin. McGuckin said, "You got it." No, Gavrik says, "You got it," and it ends up being a turnover.
Anderson behind the net, set up in front for Ruiz. It hops off of the heel of his stick and will be taken by the Wolves in transition. Here's Boudreau up the heart of the ice. Port to his left, Jurich to his right. Finds Jurich. His shot attempt is blocked. Powell trying to keep it in on the near side, loses the handle on it, and Bunnell will gingerly make his way up the right wing and play it up to Levesque. Levesque enters in with Shinkaruk, drops it back. Shinkaruk maneuvers to his left. Has Port in front of him, as well as Desjardins. Loops it around the perimeter of the boards. Levesque can't field it cleanly. It will hop off his stick towards the far side post. Pominville will hold.
Oh, smart play by goaltender Jeremy Pominville. Just get the whistle, settle in for a face-off to your right. We're about 4 minutes into this game. Each team has only recorded officially one shot on goal, and the one for Watertown came from the neutral zone.
Looping around and out into the neutral zone it goes as Thomas Freeman will give chase. It will go behind the Hat-Tricks net. McGuckin will one-hand it down for his defenseman. And Freeman was a scratch last week, but it wasn't indicative of his play whatsoever. It's just that the Hat-Tricks, it's a good position to be in, and we've heard Billy McCreary mention is that they simply just have too many talented players that they're trying to get playing time.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have when you have someone like Thomas Freeman who, coming into this game, he played in 14 of the 17 games played, or rather going into last weekend, 14 of the 15 games that they had played. And when you bring in more talented guys, in this case Lenny Caglianone, it's a good thing for the team. And you know what? It brings in even more talented players. This is a first-place team. They're going for their 10th straight victory. Billy McCreary is really building something here in Danbury.
Dumping it in. Pominville will hold, tries to get it up the wall. Bogjoul will hold on to it on the near side midboards. Chasing after it, Shinkaruk. Also absent from tonight's lineup, Zach, is Nick DiNicola, who is one of the hottest players for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, has 7 points in his limited showing with the Hat-Tricks, had a breakaway goal last week, and it's another roll, and it's a next man up mentality as keeping it in towards Kasich. Dearson with a wrist shot that's fought off by Pominville, bouncing around between the hash marks and pitchforked out of the zone by the defenseman Preston Kugler.
It is a next man up mentality. I mean, DiNicola in his first game scores the first hat-trick in Danbury Hat-Tricks history. That's somebody who you want to have out on the ice.
Bouncing puck over by the near side post, and Atwell will steer it aside, and up come the Hat-Tricks. A 3-on-2 if they hurry. Dearson entering in. It will be just offsides as Steve Mealy was a little bit ahead of the play and will get a stoppage. 5:23 gone by in the first.
I'm curious to see how Steve Mealy is used by head coach Billy McCreary in tonight's game. He was on the blue line last weekend. He's centering this line so far. But on the power play, do you move Mealy back to the blue line? Do you use him as a quarterback back there? I mean, he's got a great shot. He's got great speed. And the kid's intelligent enough, and he's enough of a veteran where you can really plug and play him wherever you have a hole.
Powell, who chewed up a lot of minutes, will cross the way to his defensive partner, Port. A one-touch pass is picked off by Bronner and sent back to open space, and Powell will be forced to retreat once more as Shinkaruk is aggressively in on the forecheck. Port now up to the center of the ice. Boudreau cuts to his right, trying to get around the big body of Gavrik, but Gavrik finishes his check, knocks the puck loose, and here comes Shinkaruk looking for Bronner on the right wing, and a good back check by the Wolves, so a pair of good puck plays on each side.
Jamie Lucas doing a good job getting into the right position to break up what was a 3-on-2.
Shinkaruk dishes to his left. Levesque with a wrist shot goes off of the body of Powell. And up comes Jurich on the right wing. He's got Boudreau with him. Tuma and Gavrik back on the defense. They enter in with Powell. That shot goes off the legs of Gavrik into the corner. Setup intended for Boudreau. Intercepted by Shinkaruk. Shinkaruk, very active, plays a very good 200-foot game as he chips it in deep and goes off for a change. It's a great job of activating a play offensively, then coming back and recuperating on defense.
Well, how many times have we seen Shinkaruk so far this year breaking things up with the tenacious back check that he has? But on that last rush for the Watertown Wolves, Tyler Jurich, he's played with Vlad Gavrik. He knows he's not a defenseman. Brings the puck over to Gavrik's side, nearly is able to get a shot on goal. It was blocked. But, again, that's Jurich, that's his intelligence, and that's something that Danbury always needs to be aware of.
Dearson up the right wing to Mealy, has open space in front of him, enters in, hampered from behind by Desjardins. A shot is redirected, saved by Pominville. I think Matthias Kasich got a stick on that one. Bouncing back to Thomas Freeman as he fields in a long pass intended for Dearson. Will go off of his stick and hop up off the glass as a Let's Go Hat-Tricks chant is up from the Hat-Tricks faithful. 7 minutes gone by here in the first. A hard check behind the play as that was Pawlowski and Kasich coming together. This wrist shot will be swallowed up by Tom McGuckin. 7 minutes and 12 seconds gone by in the first period.
Well, Danbury's defense, again, they're bending. Watertown hasn't had too many offensive opportunities so far, and the Danbury defense is doing a great job of keeping those shots to the outside, allowing goaltender Thomas McGuckin to see it all the way.
Ruiz and Pawlowski come together to the left of McGuckin, and it's won by Ruiz as back to retrieve is Ruiz's own faceoff. Bunnell on the right wing. Bunnell crosses his own blue line, has Anderson in front of him. He's checked from behind by Bajul. Anderson pursuing the puck, but it's taken away. Asselstein dishes it to his right. Now Pawlowski crosses the red line and dumps it in deep, and it'll be a defensive pairing change for Watertown. Both teams kind of feeling each other out in the early goings of the game here. A crucial game at that for both sides as the Hat-Tricks trying to provide some separation for themselves in the standings, and Watertown trying to reclaim that top spot, which they lost last weekend in a sweep to the Danbury Hat-Tricks.
And you mentioned trying to get a little space. I mean, you take a look at the top of the Eastern Division right now. Danbury with 35 points, Watertown with 33 points. The Mentor Icebreakers in action tonight against Carolina. They have 33 points as well. By the end of the night, 3 separate teams could be in first place in this division.
You know, Mentor is one of those teams that, I don't know, maybe it's just the feeling around Danbury, but they are kind of slept on because the Hat-Tricks have not played the Icebreakers yet. Turnover now, and entering in is Jurich, looking across the way to Lucas, has it on his backhander, shanks it just wide.
No,
Levesque loses his footing, and this is a chance for Boudreau as his pass is out of reach too hard for Jurich. Lucas keeps it in at the near side midboards. Gavrik throws a check, trying to knock him off the puck. Jurich has it hop over his stick, and Levesque gets a second chance to play the puck. And this time he will, I thought he might be able to get it out. Instead, it goes off of the railing above the scorer's box.
Yeah, that looks like Levesque chipped that one off the glass, and Kyle Powell, who is familiar with Danbury Arena himself, goes off his stick and then again goes off that railing right over by the 200 section here, right in front of the new suites that we have here at Danbury Arena as well. And Casey, you've been up there. They look pretty nice.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the Fairfield County Bank Premium Suites, the Bank Vault. As you can see, everything going on with the Danbury Hat-Tricks suite section at danburyhattricks.com/suites. And very full there today as we have a hockey party going on up there in the suites. We have Diamond Properties ownership up there. And
isn't this entire thing a hockey party?
That's very true. It's a good way of putting it. Mealy out on the near side point, wires a wrist shot towards the net, and it will be gloved out of the air by Pominville, and he holds.
And notice how that's Mealy with the shot coming from the blue line already. Coach McCreary has moved Steve Mealy back to the defensive sides. And you see Vlad Gavrik still on the bench. I'm curious to see if Gavrik will find himself on an offensive shift soon.
Face-off will be to the left of Pominville. It's won by Desjardins, and it lopes around. Kept in at the point by Atwell. His shot is blocked in front by Desjardins, and Mealy tries to keep it in. Swats at the near side point. Kasich has a body on him and Asselstein. Dearson will loop it around. It's trickling along the kick plate as Desjardins comes together, trying to squib it out from the wall was Matthias Kasich. Asselstein will hold behind the end line. Asselstein being hampered from behind by Mealy, but locks a flowing, enters in across the blue line, hits it off of the end boards. Pinching in is Powell. Getting to it first, though, is Steve Mealy, who is playing forward tonight, but still finds himself deep in his own zone. Now he's able to activate the rush, and a 3-on-3 chance for the Hat-Tricks as Mealy enters in with Bunnell and Kasich directly behind him. Mealy stops short, gets it out to the point to Atwell, has a body in front of him, thinks about dropping it back, instead wires it down low to Bunnell. Bunnell has it on the near side post, trying to shovel it home past Pominville, but that one is fought off with the blocker. Staple gunning a man along the wall. Good check there by Austin Petrie. Bouncing around in the blue paint, Bunnell gets a stick on it, and it squirts wide, and it will be looped down all the way towards McGuckin. Atwell will glide his way back towards the end line, and this will be an icing with 9:38 to go in the first.
Well, you know, that a bit of an unorthodox zone entry there for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. You usually don't see 3 guys just hanging out behind each other, but were able to get an offensive opportunity out of it. Ruiz will step in for this face-off. This is a line that had success their first time out.
So 4 natural forwards out there with Gavrick holding down that near side point. Face-off tied up in the near side corner. It's Powell trying to dig it out as Bunnell. He does. Anderson with a turnaround shot. Fanned on it. Now here's Ruiz at the far side post. Can't get a shot off. His pass to the center to Anderson. Hops over his stick. Ooh, helter-skelter. Pominville was down on his belly, and Ruiz just had no angle towards the net mouth.
And really no angle. We saw Johnny Ruiz score from an impossible angle last weekend. This one was even worse.
3-on-2 now if they hurry. Anderson up the right wing with Bunnell and Ruiz. Anderson trying to drag the toe on a great defensive play by Vlad Port. Bunnell holds in the near side corner as streaking over the boards is Thomas Freeman. He's setting up at the far side circle, calling for it. A backhander by Bunnell is eaten up by Pominville, and we have reached the media timeout. It seems like the period is flying by, Zach. We're already 8:57 to go in the first.
It is going by quickly because these teams, they've combined for 10 shots on goal, 6-4 in favor of Danbury, but you're not seeing too many dangerous opportunities for either team. A majority of Watertown shots have come from the outside. The ones that are in that more dangerous home plate shaped area, well, they're getting blocked because the Danbury defense is doing a good job of collapsing low. Going the other way, Danbury, they've had a couple shots from the slot. We saw Carter Shinkarik with one. We saw Casper Dearson with another. Pominville's doing a good job of keeping an eye around his defenseman, keeping his vision unobstructed so he can make those saves. But again, Danbury, their shots are coming from the outside as well. These two teams, they had a home-and-home series last weekend. They have a home-and-home series this weekend. I don't want to say it's a feeling out period, but it is a bit of a slower start than I think either one of us were anticipating.
Absolutely, because neither team wants to make a mistake. You know, and both teams know what is at stake here tonight. Every game at this point within the Eastern Division is crucial because you've seen how things can really turn on a dime with the Danbury Hat-Tricks having won 9 in a row. Elmira beat the Carolina Thunderbirds in a shootout, so they're starting to creep their way back into contention. You never know in the FPHL, especially with a 3-point swing, you never know how quickly things can turn.
And I'm glad that you brought up that 3-point swing because let's bring up our second favorite team, the Battle Creek Rumblebees. They are 0-20. All right, they are 2 losses away from setting some minor league hockey history with the worst start and the worst losing streak in minor league hockey history, and that's going through the AHL, the IHL, the CHL, the UHL, the Alphabet HL, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, if they can rattle off 6 wins, they can tie the Columbus River Dragons. They can move into a playoff spot. I mean, it's almost baffling to me that a team who starts off 0-20 isn't eliminated from playoff contention, and yet with that 3-point system, that's exactly what they've got.
Phil Bronner enters in on the left side. Don't you dare say Battle Creek in playoff contention yet.
You know, it's only 6 wins.
Devaney wires it towards the net. Kick save by McGuckin. A rebound bounces over the net mouth.
No, McGuckin got a piece of that with his blocker.
Ooh, I thought that might have gone over cleanly, but you are right. It looks like that hit off of, I think, just above the block, the knob of his stick.
Yeah, it's not exactly the way they draw it up in goaltending camp, but they'll take it.
Hey, anything to get your body in front of the shot as Freeman pinches in. A hard collision behind the play, and that's Levesque down on the ice as he gives the death glare towards the referee. Entering in is Boudreau. Boudreau on one-hander. That's a pad save by McGuckin. Touched up by Atwell, and this is a delayed penalty going against the Hat-Tricks for holding.
Oh, the Danbury bench not too happy, including head coach Billy McCreary. No surprise there as Nick Levesque gets sent into goaltender Jeremy Pominville. There was a Watertown defenseman involved there as well. He'll get a quick look from the training staff. And meanwhile, going back the other way, Aaron Atwell sits 2 minutes for holding. And so Watertown gets to go onto their first power play of the evening. They come in with the second best power play in the league, converting on 25.4% of their opportunities. The Danbury Hat-Tricks, well, their penalty kill could use some improvement. They kill off 75.7% of their penalties. That is ranked 8th in the league.
Powell will field at the Danbury Colonials logo at the center of the offensive zone for the Wolves. Slides it to his right to Pawlowski. Has Boudreau, Bagjul, and Jurich out there. Jurich leads the FPHL with 9 power play goals so far in this young season, but it will be cleared out as the Pominville will field behind his end line, and it will be Powell maneuvering his way out from behind the cage. Slides it to his right. Boudreau enters in. Stops short. Martin Tuma out there with Steve Brown on the defensive pairing for the Hat-Tricks. Phil Bronner and Nicola Levesque, the man who was brought down to initiate the play. The contact behind the net over at the Watertown end. completing the four-man unit. Tuma knocked down to one knee, pops back up. Puck is loose. Bronner gets a stick on it, kept in by Powell. Crosses the way to Jurich. Thinks about a slap shot. Now he fires, and it will be held by McGuckin. A good job of keeping that rebound in front of him with 1:07 to go in the power play. As we welcome up to the broadcast booth Jack O'Mara. Welcome to the hockey party, Jack.
Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're having a hockey party up here.
Yeah,
Glad you
awesome.
could join us.
That's awesome. Holiday party. Love it.
No, hockey party. Hockey party.
Holiday hockey party.
Ooh. You got some alliteration in there,
Yeah,
too.
there you go.
Well, on that last shot by Jurich, you see the patience that Tyler has. He allows Steve Brown, his former teammate, just to slide on by, gets a good shot on goal.
Bogjoul with a setup intended for Boudreau. Boudreau was tied up with Cruz Listmeyer in front. That wrist shot gets redirected, punched out of the air by Tom McGuckin and held by Bogjoul. Gets it out to the center of the blue line, pitch and catch. Now here's Powell. Over to Jurich at the near side as Carter Shinkarik marking him. Powell at the far side point to Pawlowski. Quick passing by Boudreau. Kept in by Jurich, takes a step in, shot saved by McGuckin. McGuckin looks around for it and doesn't realize it's in his padding.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere. I think that might have actually gone off of his shoulder either way. Goaltenders, like we mentioned just a moment ago, they'll take it any way they can. And this Watertown power play, so dangerous, Jack. We saw it in last weekend's game. What was it, 4 or 5 tic-tac-toe passes in a row and an empty net goal.
Yeah, they've had quality chances on this power play, too. Those are not low percentage shots. They're getting into good areas. And McGuckin stood strong so far in this power play.
Face-off will be to the left of McGuckin. It will be Corey Anderson against Dallas Desjardins, and it will be won by Anderson. And poked over to the near side midboards. Tuma takes a swing and knocks it out into the neutral zone. Kugler will field. Gets it over to the left side. Justin Coachman, defensive partner for Kugler. Lucas out there with Desjardins and Devaney on the forward lines for the power play with 18 seconds to go in the man advantage for Watertown. Meandering his way back is Coachman. Holds behind the end line. Now it's Desjardins escaping out from behind with a little bit of momentum. Deeks right, Deeks left, now dumps it into the corner. Cruz Listmeyer throws a hard check and tumbles down on top of Desjardins as the power play is officially expired. One last shot goes off of the midsection of Bronner, and up come the hat tricks in a 3-on-2. Back to Bronner with Atwell joining the rush. Bronner's shot, he scores! What a laser beam from Phil Bronner, it's 1-0.
Finally, the hat-tricks are able to get onto the board as the Carrots rain down at center ice. And you know who's going to get a secondary assist on this? Aaron Atwell. He comes out of the box. He is patient with the puck. He sees his forwards going up with him, so he's able just to tap it along. Then, more importantly, he joins the play. We saw Atwell in last weekend's game. He takes a shot off by DiNicola off the post. He bats it in out of midair. He's an offensive threat. Watertown knows that. They have to respect it. It gives Bronner the room. And here's Phil Bronner able to wire one past the glove of Jeremy Palmenville, and the hat-tricks take a 1-0 lead.
And it all starts from that shot block from Bronner right at the end of the power play. I mean, he just stands tall, and then it's easy right there. That 3-on-2, there's no chance for Watertown to recover from that, and it's just easy. And Phil Bronner, who's been feeling himself lately, finds another way to find the back of the net. And just when you say, all right, this is a quiet period, not so fast, my friend.
Well, it was very conservative action to start, back and forth, and it is always tricky when a man is coming out of the penalty box, is that you never want to time the play. If you're the power play team, you never want to time the play so that a man is coming out of the box just as you're about to clear, because you always run the risk of cherry picking, of that play exactly happening as Aaron Atwell is able to help set up the goal. And what a wrist shot you mentioned by Phil Bronner. Phil Bronner, one of the hottest players on this hat-trick team. That's his 8th goal of the season and his 22nd point in his 18th game.
Yeah, his 22nd points keep our 3rd overall on the team behind only Johnny Ruiz and Nick Levesque. But that's the kind of answer that the Danbury hat-tricks needed. On that power play, Watertown, they looked good. They had the passing that they needed. They got the shots on goal. They're currently outshooting the Danbury hat-tricks by an 8-7 margin. And Phil Bronner, again, we keep talking about how this Danbury team is able to respond. That's a response right there.
So the Watertown Wolves trailing now in this one 1-0. They were able to grab an early lead last weekend, now find themselves in the roles reversed as they trail 1-0 as Gavrick pitchforks that one well up into the air, and he looks to the sky. He knows that was over clean, and that will be a delay of game penalty going against Gavrick. Back to the power play go the Watertown Wolves.
That's just a mental mistake right there. He has time. He's got some space there. He's just got to be smarter with the puck, gets it on the edge, and a souvenir for the fans, and Gavrick sits for 2.
I'm certainly glad that he didn't put more mustard on that. That had a beeline towards our booth over here. But, Jack, to your point, yeah, it's Gavrick. He has a little more time like that. Again, he's playing out of position, so sometimes you can start overthinking things. Instead, it's going to be the Watertown Wolves going on to their second power play. They're 0 for 1 so far. They looked good on their first power play with 3 shots on goal.
Powell will hold, and it will be Pawlowski, Devaney, and Jurich out with Boudreau and Powell, the 5-man unit for the Watertown Wolves. Bronner and Shinkarik, the penalty kill forwards, with Brown and Atwell. Atwell fields the puck. It rolls right by him. Pawlowski is pursuing him. Atwell will skate in front of his net and then backhand it out into the neutral zone, but not terribly far as Powell is able to stop it and get it up to Devaney. Minute 30 to go in the power play as Devaney slides it to Pawlowski, who will dump it towards McGuckin. It takes a lively bounce off of McGuckin's blocker, but it will be cleared out of danger by Phil Bronner. And now an errant pass goes off of the defensive stick in Shinkarik, and that allows for a penalty kill change here for the Danbury Hat-Tricks as Jurich trying to enter in.
You saw the strength of big Stevie Brown there. Bouncing puck on goal for McGuckin. He has to deal with that, and then Brown, he's able just to simply outwork the Watertown Wolf player and get the puck out.
Well, Steve Brown is one of the biggest players on this team and really in the league, as he is one of the heaviest hitters on this Danbury Hat-Trick blue line. As a bouncing puck intended for Boudreau hops over his stick. Levesque trying to lead Bunnell for a shorthanded breakaway. If that had hopped over the stick of Jurich, Bunnell had pay dirt in front of him. Bouncing puck over to Devaney in the near side corner with 40 seconds to go in the man advantage for Watertown. Still only 1 shot on goal to McGuckin. Here's Devaney. Now out to Jurich with a slap shot is blocked by Bunnell. He comes up a little bit lame as he makes his way back to the bench. Here's Levesque motoring in on the right side, in with Mealy. Levesque looking for the pass. Mealy has it roll off his stick. Now gets a wrist shot off and goes wide. Ooh, Mealy, if he fields that cleanly, that's a prime opportunity.
Yeah, he's got the goaltender going down low there, and it just rolls over his stick. It allows for Pominville to set himself and get in front.
Desjardins fighting forward in the far side corner in the final 5 seconds of this power play. Dearson gets to it first, is able to clear down, and that will do it. Watertown officially 0 for 2 on the man advantage with 3:25 to go in the first period, and the Hat-Tricks leading 1-0. Powell up on the left side has Ruiz in front of him, that being number 14, Marvin Powell. No relation to the other Powell on the Watertown Wolves, Kyle Powell, number 27. Here's Ruiz in on the left side, has Asselstein in front of him. Ruiz looking to the net, blocked by Asselstein, poke check away by Pominville. Kept in at the point by Tuma. Tuma looks to the net, it goes well wide. It hits lively off the end boards, and trying to escape, Kasich gets a stick on it, but is unable to hold on to it. Now coughs it up, and Asselstein enters in. His slap shot is rejected by Tuma. Another try goes well wide, and Tuma comes up feeling that one. He wore that on the shins.
Yeah, no, Tuma is having even more difficulty getting back to the bench. He can't even do it right now.
Ooh, his glove is off. He's hurt.
Yeah, we'll get a whistle here, and Marty Tuma will draw the attention of the training staff, as it looked like that one caught him right above the right shin pad, and boy, I've taken shots there. That hurts. That's something you can't put any weight on it. And you saw Tuma, he was nearly able to get back to the bench. It's about 60 feet, but just the veteran defender couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he's like, all right, I just got to get to the bench here, and probably the hurt catches up to him, and he's like, oh my gosh, I can't get there. So that's why I think one of the training staff is out there for the Hat-Tricks looking at him, and it's a tough vantage point from where we are to see, what if he's holding his leg or whatnot, but we saw the glove slide across there.
Yeah, he came up. He wore that one right in, I believe, his right shin as he came up and immediately started skating with only one leg, trying to make his way back to the bench. And Marty Tuma is one of the toughest players on this Hat-Tricks team because he's played through ailments in the past, and I mean, the guy has come out of retirement after 3 years of not playing hockey. We mention it seemingly every broadcast because it's just that marvelous that Marty Tuma is in this position where he's 34 years old, comes back to the Danbury Hat-Tricks with virtually no preparation, and is thrown out in big minutes and has been successful doing it.
Yeah, you take a look at the first weekend for the Danbury Hat-Tricks where they lost 2 games in a row in overtime to the Port Huron Prowlers, and defense was identified as the biggest problem that the Danbury Hat-Tricks had. Assistant coach Johnny Krapinski maintains a relationship with Marty Tuma. Tuma was still is still coaching the Long Beach Sharks in the USPHL, a junior league down on Long Island. He drives up here to Danbury. He's become a real stalwart on this blue line, and now a blue line which is already missing a few players sees Marty Tuma and their veteran presence going back to the locker room.
So a big loss potentially for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, as now I guess we'll see a bit more from Thomas Freeman and the likes of perhaps forward Vlad Gavrik, and now taking a skate out there. Hasn't seen a shift yet, but Brett Menton is dressed for this game. It looks like Brett Menton will be a Johnny on the spot for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, filling in for Tuma.
Yeah, and again, we'll see how things work out here. Do you keep Menton on the blue line, or do you slide Steve Mealy back to the blue line and play Menton as a forward? Losing a player like that, especially as important as Marty Tuma, with just 2 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in the first period, there are adjustments that are going to need to be made.
Jostling forward over by the penalty box. Cruz Listmeyer throws a check, but it will be dumped in deep to Tom McGuckin. Trying to escape, it gets it up to Levesque along the left side wall. His saucer pass will hop over the stick of Phil Bronner, and it will be taken by Jurich for Watertown. Feeds Lucas. Lucas trying to get past Listmeyer, and Listmeyer throws a hard check, and that will be a penalty on Listmeyer, as Lucas was in an awkward position, didn't truly have his balance, and Listmeyer pile drives him into the boards.
And it's an interesting play here because Listmeyer is about to initiate the check. And as soon as he does that, it's just a little bit of a turn by Jamie Lucas. He turns his body just so he gets the numbers there. So as soon as the contact is made, he's in a bad position. That's why the penalty was called.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what Cruz Listmeyer could have done to avoid that at that point. He'll sit for boarding. Meanwhile, when I saw it, Jack, I saw the numbers, I saw the collision, and I thought, uh-oh, that's a penalty. I look at the referee. His arm didn't go up until the stick got thrown into the corner.
Well, it wasn't so much the initial hit so much as it was the follow-through, which is hard to stop yourself when you're throwing a check like that. But Cruz Listmeyer really finished the job a bit too efficiently.
Just a bit. So Watertown, they go on to their third power play this period. Again, with their talent, you can't keep giving them these opportunities, even though they're 0 for 2 so far.
Well, Cruz Listmeyer perhaps a bit too anxious to show off what he learned from his uncle Colton Orr's checking academy, which he has here in Danbury.
I went to power skating classes. I went to shooting class. I never went to a checking academy.
Well, that's the kind of thing you can only get in Danbury. That's first class. Behind the end line, Steve Brown throws a check. Puck is loose. Wraparound try by Pawlowski is covered up by McGuckin. Brown was so busy tying up the dangerous Dominic Bogjoul that he didn't even sense Pawlowski coming out and fielding the puck.
Yeah, there was no help side there, and Brown did everything he needed to do. He needed just another defender to come down and help him out. And Pawlowski, that's a great move, but a good job by Tom McGuckin staying on that left post until the last possible second, and he kept the 5-hole closed. Sometimes we haven't seen that from him this year. Very, very good stop in the wraparound.
Shinkarik wins the faceoff draw. Atwell tries to clear, but it's kept in by Bogjoul. Over to Kyle Powell, who throws a hard check. Phil Bronner does on Powell to knock the puck loose. Shinkarik trying to clear, can't get it out. Taken away, Jurich feeds it down low for Pawlowski and pops off his stick, and it will be cleared out of danger. But, oh boy, almost a dangerous chance for Jurich and company.
Yeah, too fancy. You can't go backwards when you're on the penalty kill. That pass to Shinkarik, it should not happen in that situation. Just fire it down the length of the ice.
You're absolutely right. Get the puck over the blue line.
Halfway through this power play, here's Powell at the center of the zone. Shot attempt goes off of the end boards. Bronner will field and will deliberately lift it up down towards Pominville. He made darn sure that he got all of it so that it goes over the defensive sticks, because the Hat-Tricks have had a devil of a time clearing it past the red line. Now maneuvering in the final 60 seconds of play here in the first period. Pawlowski trying to even up the score for the Watertown Wolves. Holding on at the near side point is Jurich. Wires it down low, intended for Boudreau. A little bit of a pitch and catch. Boudreau drops it back for Jurich out to the center of the zone to Powell. His shot is blocked by Levesque. Levesque off to the races. He's got a breakaway if he can beat Powell. Levesque on the breakaway. Fights him off and scores! What a beauty! Nicola Levesque! It's 2-0 hat tricks!
And again, it's another great play as the horn continues to sound. Nicola Levesque, it starts again with a block shot close to the blue line. He blocks a shot from the defender, and then he just uses his weight. He's on the backhand the whole time. He's got a stick in his left hand, his offhand. Very impressive. And then he just fights off the defender just enough, sneaks on in, and then a close range finish to get that puck up in the air. What a finish there for Nicola Levesque. Great effort from blue line all the way to the goal line. And a shorthanded goal again for the Hat-Tricks, and that's a great response considering they've had backs against the wall, 3 penalty kills within the last 8 minutes.
We've said it a few times already. Bend, don't break for this Danbury defense. For Levesque, it's his 9th goal of the season. It's only the 3rd shorthanded goal scored by the Danbury Hat-Tricks so far this season, and boy, is that a nice way to finish up the period.
The horn will sound. And just the kind of momentum boost that the Danbury Hat-Tricks needed after taking their 3rd penalty of the period. Nicola Levesque pots one. Past Jeremy Pominville and Watertown once more find themselves in a compromising position, down 2 heading into the first intermission. They've got to be shaking their heads a little bit after what was, honestly, not a bad effort in the first 20 minutes.
I mean, they had the possession. They had a couple of good shot opportunities. It's not a high-shooting period by any means. We've seen better periods, but their chances were higher quality, and you give a lot of credit, again, to Tom McGuckin, the hot hand in between the pipes. He's their number 1 right now. He's starting every single game. He's playing the top minutes, and he has another scoreless period. What a way to start this game for the Hat-Tricks.
And, you know, bringing up McGuckin, think about the response that this kid has gone through. You know, he plays against Elmira. He gets chased after giving up, again, 3 goals in 26 seconds, 2 of which you never want to see again, especially if you're a goaltender. And how does he respond? Does he retreat into a shell? No. He takes over this crease. Dylan Kelly goes out to the SPHL, and there's a hole in this crease. McGuckin has not only taken it over, he's done so with authority. 6 victories in a row so far, and he's looking good already tonight. He stopped all 9 shots that he saw, and Jack, to your point, yeah, they're high percentage opportunities. Tyler Jurich, Casey, you mentioned it earlier. He had a goal last weekend. He's getting these chances in the slot. These are shots you don't want to be giving up, and yet McGuckin's able to stand tall.
What a period it was for the Danbury Hat-Tricks as they now lead 2-0 over the Watertown Wolves, as you see Sydney Hand from the Danbury Ice Angels performing out here at center ice in Danbury Arena.
Yeah, I give her credit. This is not smooth ice for her to be going on, and here she is jumping around.
That's the kind of talent that the Ice Angels have, and a shout out to Dan Halisko for her tremendous company that she has with the Danbury Ice Angels out at Danbury Arena. But it is time for us to take our leave, if only just for the moment, as we head into the first intermission. You're watching Danbury Hat-Tricks hockey on the Hat-Tricks YouTube channel. Hat-Tricks 2, Wolves nothing. Back after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for live coverage of the Danbury Hat-Tricks as they take on the Watertown Wolves. We're about to get started with the second period, but first it's time for the FPHL out-of-town scoreboard. Here's Zach McGinnis.
Thanks, Casey. Let's start with our second favorite team, the Battle Creek Rumblebees. They currently trail the Elmira Enforcers by a 1-0 score 10 minutes into the first period. Dustin Skinner with the goal for the Enforcers in that game. Meanwhile, down in Georgia, the Columbus River Dragons currently trail the Delaware Thunder by a 1-0 score. Delaware Thunder, of course, in 5th place in the 5-team Eastern Division, but still within striking distance. It's Taylor Cutting and just now Anton Kalinin with a goal for the Thunder, so they now lead it 2-0. Meanwhile, out in Ohio, the Mentor Icebreakers and the Carolina Thunderbirds, they're deadlocked at 0-0 about 8 minutes into the first period. Later on tonight, out in Danville, the Dashers will play host to the Port Huron Prowlers. Right here in Danbury, it's the Hat-Tricks with a 2-0 lead over the Watertown Wolves. Getting things started, Phil Bronner, assisted by Corey Anderson and Aaron Atwell. And then with 28 seconds remaining in the period, Nikola Levesque, his 9th of the season, a short-handed goal has made it 2-0. And guys, just while we have a moment here, would like to say hello and congratulations again to my sister and her fiance, her husband now, Amy and Garrett. Congratulations to both of you. It was a fantastic wedding. I also want to thank you, Jack, and you, Casey. You guys did a great job while I was, otherwise occupied with a baby and then my sister's wedding. And, well, we just wanted to get it all done in one weekend, apparently.
No, of course. Congratulations to you, Zach. We couldn't be happier for you and your family, obviously. While we missed you here in the broadcast, we understand that, maybe one or two things in life come before hockey.
Only one or two, though. I mean, let's be honest.
We made a rare exception for you, so I hope you appreciate the generosity on our part.
I certainly did. I asked my wife. Yeah. I kept talking about it. She kept glaring at me saying, you don't have to watch the hockey game right now. You have a week-year-old in my hand. Well, getting back to hockey as the Hat-Tricks make their way back out onto the ice. Jack, you saw the game at the beginning from ice level. You've seen it up here. What do the Watertown Wolves need to do to get back into this game?
I think shot selection's great. They just need to take more of them. I think that's the number one step. Possession time was good. Just got to find a way to get those lanes open. And I think, once or twice these bounces are going to go against Tom McGuckin. So you just got to keep firing it in there, and then you're going to be successful. You got a 2-goal deficit. You've lost 3 games in a row. I would say, they just got to come out firing. What do you have to lose at this point?
So we have Tom McGuckin patrolling now the right crease for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. They'll be skating from right to left on your YouTube screen. And you got to love, by the way, we'll get a shot of it a little bit later, but at the end of the bench for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, Nick Niedert wearing a very festive tee on his head. You got to love it.
I wanted to bring that up. Nick Niedert, he usually wears a beanie when he's patrolling the end of the bench. This time the beanie, it's got some festive tinsel on top of it. It's a great look for our friend Nick Niedert. Great idea, or a great time having him up here. And, we were talking before the end of the first period about McGuckin and how he was able to come back. Well, Niedert, he's a big reason for that.
So the puck goes out over by the far side midboards and bouncing around in the neutral zone as Jamie Lucas will enter in and play it over towards the right side. It goes behind the net of Tom McGuckin. Fighting for it is Lucas. He'll loop it around. Powell trying to keep it in, but it will be fought off by Aaron Atwell as, well, Jack, I believe, as Gordy Bonnell diving for it from his knees. His shot is blocker saved by Pominville. Anderson in the near side corner now jostling for it as Vlad Port. Ruiz out to Bonnell and hops off his stick. Jurich will backhand that one out, and Lucas will pursue. As I believe, I might have been wrong that I thought the power play was going to carry over into the third. I must have been mistaken, or excuse me, into the second. I must have been mistaken. So.
They did kill it off. I think there was maybe 3 or 4 seconds with the split there. I saw it come off the clock right before the end of the period. But here you go, Casey.
As now the Danbury Hat-Tricks will get their first power play opportunity of the contest as Aaron Atwell took a slash up high, and it will be the best penalty killer on the Watertown Wolves. Jamie Lucas taking a seat in the penalty box, and Jamie Lucas does not sit in the sin bin very often. That is just his 9th and 10th penalty minutes respectively.
And he's got 4 shorthanded goals too. The only 4 for Watertown this whole season. So That's a big name to be in the box right now. If you're Danbury, fire away here.
Here's Ruiz out with Levesque, Shinkarik, Anderson, and Bronner, that 5-forward unit that converted twice against Watertown last weekend. Here's Bronner in the far side corner looking across the way for Ruiz. It pops up into the air, and forcing it out of the zone is Pawlowski with a good play. Up into the neutral zone, chopping down at it was Sanstebo. He's trying to keep the puck away from Phil Bronner, gets some help from Boudreau. It will trickle over to the far side. Anderson fields in his own zone and will be forced to retreat with 1:20 to go in the power play.
Those are the kind of plays you need, Casey. Plays in the neutral zone, Sanstebo. A couple of good time-consuming plays before the hat-tricks could get into the zone.
Ruiz fighting for it behind the end line. Near side post is off its mooring. Palmenville will adjust it himself. Bronner has Levesque in the near side circle. Anderson at the far side circle. Pass, a good play by Shinkarik to cut it off before it exits, and we'll get a stoppage in play as Palmenville's attempts at keeping the net on its mooring were unsuccessful. And we'll get a stoppage of play with 57 seconds to go in the power play.
Yeah, the puck should stay in the zone because Palmenville did kick it off. So that's the positive here for Danbury. He'll put a little extra water on the post there, trying to keep it still.
Yeah, they're trying to do anything they can to keep it glued down to the ice as much as possible. Anything for security here. Because the nets do pop off. I mean, that is incidental. That's hockey.
Yep.
And that is just one of the many quirks here at Danbury Arena.
And you know what, Casey? They had a conversation today, goaltending coach Matt Voidy and arena operations manager.
As, a big bomb from Matthias Kasich taking a step in. That's fought off by Palmenville. Got his full weight behind that one.
That's a blast right there coming off the blue line. Really good shot attempt. And it doesn't do any harm because you get the puck right back. But I was saying, Rob Sutherland, our executive operations at the arena, and goaltending coach Matt Voidy, they've tried a couple of different pegs in the goals. They've been working at changing that a little bit to try to see which is going to work best.
Out behind the end line it goes as here's McGuckin stopping it for his defenseman Aaron Atwell. 40 seconds to go in the power play, and the Danbury Hat-Tricks trying to maneuver their way in, and that one is offsides. Casper Dearson was ahead of the play.
And those are the kind of plays that Casper Dearson's missed some time. He had a lower body injury. And he talked to us at the end of last weekend when Danbury won their 9th straight. He said, I'm just not 100%. It's an injury where I just really want to be able to skate at my 100%. Right there, that's a mistake that you'll make after missing some time due to an injury.
Here's Kasich. Maneuvers it to his right. Dearson looking to get it back over to Kasich in the slot and couldn't connect with the passes. Kasich was lurking in that slot area. Back behind the end line it goes. McGuckin will stop with 15 seconds to go in the power play. Final rush opportunity on the man advantage. Kasich trying to fight off Boudreau. Leaves it for Dearson. 5 seconds to go in the power play. Kasich in the corner. Bonnell in the circle. Trying to get it back to Atwell. It's out of his reach, and that will do it for the man advantage, and we'll get a stoppage of play behind. As it's Casper Dearson trying to indicate that he got a stick up into his chin, but it will be an interference call. And the doors were open, and what do we have here, Jack? It looks like an interference call will be going against Watertown.
So
Lucas.
He jumped out of the box, I think, too quickly.
Really?
I think that's what they're calling here, guys, because he comes out of the box and touches this puck. As soon as he touches the puck, they blew the whistle at him, and he must have come out too early. So
interesting, because they made the cross symbol of interference. So I guess, I have never seen that called at this level.
You know what? It's tough to see. It happened so quickly. He might have still been in the box. He was either out too quickly or he was still in the box when he played the puck. But, I mean, he's going to spend a couple more minutes down there.
Well, yeah, just as Jamie Lucas can get comfortable in the corner, in the penalty box now. It's just we were saying that he doesn't visit the sin bin very often. Oh, it's because he didn't know the rules of the sin bin. He's there so infrequently.
Well, he's got 40% of his penalty minutes in this game.
There you go. As there's Johnny Ruiz crossing the blue line over to Anderson. His shot is fought off by Palmenville. Kept in at the blue line. Here's Shinkarik. Shinkarik looking over to Anderson. It hops off his stick. Kept in once more by Shinkarik. Has Levesque to his left. Looking for options to his right. Will loop it around the perimeter to Bronner. Bronner to Ruiz in the corner. Back over to Shinkarik at the far side point. Shinkarik to Ruiz at the near side point now. To the bumper position. Levesque trying to turn towards the net. It gets fought off by Desjardins.
Yeah, that's such a good play by him. Just cut into the slot. Levesque, he's trying to pivot on his strong hand there. That's a tough play to make. If that's coming from the far side in, he can take that one time. But because it came to the near side to the slot, it's tough for him to make that play.
Shinkarik looking for the wraparound try. Has 50 seconds to go in this second power play opportunity for the Danbury Hat-Tricks this period. Mealy feeds Shinkarik, thinks about the one-timer. Instead, it's a slap pass to Gavrik. Gavrik holds, gets it over to Bonnell in the corner. Has Dearson posting up the far side circle, waiting for that one-timer if they can get it over to him. He takes a step in. Now they wire it to him. Wrist shot off the crossbar and out of play as Dearson looks to the sky in mystified confusion how that did not go in.
Well, that's a great chance there for Dearson. He takes that in stride. That's a great pass across the circle there. Gavrik moving the puck well in that shift. And then Dearson just steps right on in, picks a good spot, and rings it off the bar. And Jeremy Pominville has been tested in all directions over the last couple of weekends. He's seen that that puck go off the red iron a couple of times.
Yeah, there were 5 different posts that were hit in last weekend's set against the Watertown Wolves here on Saturday night as Zach McGuckin goes behind his net to field the puck. The Danbury Hat-Tricks are right now maneuvering the puck, but not getting a whole lot of high-danger looks as the Wolves are doing a good job of clogging the passing lanes, even without Jamie Lucas on the ice.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. Danbury only with 2 shots on goal so far this period. Make it 3.
Make it 3 as time expires on the power play as Gavrik gets a one-timer. That's the kind of look that you'd like to see from Gavrik. He's a 6'4" body. You'd like to see him step into a couple more one-timers like that.
Absolutely. He certainly has the size, he has the strength, and he has the talent. He's got 8 goals so far this year, including 2 on the power play. And, guys, while I was taking care of that technical issue that we had to deal with, I do want to point out the reason why that's an interference call against Jamie Lucas is he touched the puck before both skates had actually gotten back onto the ice.
There's that confirmation of that. We were musing to ourselves how Jamie Lucas could have not timed that up properly, and there you go. As there's Lucas carrying it in with Jurich and Boudreau. Lucas looking to the net for retribution, and he gets it up into the shoulder of Tom McGuckin, and he holds. So now I think you'll see a bit more of an agitated Jamie Lucas as he's frustrated with himself, and he wants a little bit of revenge.
Yeah, he just got a little bit too ahead of himself. He saw the puck right at his feet and stuck his stick out, and it's just one of those plays that you have to, have a quick mindset about. Just throw it in the back of your mind, say forget about it, let's move forward from now on. But I think 5-on-5, Watertown's been playing well so far in this game. They got to continue that, and they got to stay out of the box.
Well, stay out of the box is a good mantra for Watertown in the second period, considering that they didn't visit it at all in the first. The Hat-Tricks took 3 different penalties in the first period, but Watertown did not take a trip to the sin bin, and then here they go taking 2 penalties in the first 5 minutes of the second period. Listmayer with a 2-line pass that hops over the legs and sticks of Phil Bronner. It was redirected, so Pominville will be able to come out of his net to play the puck without fear of icing being negated. There's Shinkarik at the near side point, wrapping it around over to the far side corner, plays it towards an area. No one was there as there's Bagjoul. Out into the neutral zone, Bronner bats it back in. A little bit of pinball hockey as down towards the bumpers it goes, and the Hat-Tricks dump it in deep. Levesque cycles it for Ruiz, keeps his feet moving, skates out to the hash marks, wrist shot that's blockered aside by Pominville. I think even Ruiz was surprised at the amount of open space that he received there.
Yeah, what happened to the Waterbury defense there? Johnny Ruiz, he has the most points on the Danbury Hat-Tricks, and he's able to do a simple shooting drill. Starts in the corner, goes to the top of the circle, nobody even touches him, and Pominville has to come out aggressive to make that save.
That's a great shift from the top line there for the Hat-Tricks. They were just one step quicker than the Watertown Wolves that whole sequence there, and that's why the puck stayed in the zone for so long.
Anderson with a pass out in front intended for Bonnell. It's cleared out of danger as Anderson, here we go, dropping the gloves. As Anderson gets mixed up now with Asselstein. Trading a couple of lefts, trying to get a good grip on each other. Anderson lands a left, Asselstein loses his bucket, and Anderson goes tumbling down first. The two of them were flailing at each other frantically.
Well, you normally don't see that out of Corey Anderson. I'm not sure what was said in the corner, or maybe there was something behind the play, because Asselstein, yeah, he'll throw him. Anderson, obviously, he'll throw him as well, but you're not expecting that out of those two players, and that was an entertaining tilt.
That's one of those fights that happen because of a late hit down on the other end of the ice. You see it often. Guys just Yeah, you're right, Zach. They just say something, they're not happy about it, and they say, let's go.
And Corey Anderson, he was shaking off an upper body injury from last week. Fighting, it's not Anderson's name. We nicknamed him Scory Anderson, not Fighty Anderson. Although when I see him,
the sound of it just doesn't ring as well.
Maybe it could be his nickname, Scory Fighty Anderson.
His nickname for his nickname.
Exactly. Everybody needs a double nickname sometimes.
We're getting meta up in here. Nicknames within the nickname. It's nicknameception.
Oh, you know what? When we speak with him after the game, we'll have to get his thoughts on that. But, Jack, you had just mentioned how good that line had been for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Well, Anderson's going to sit for at least 5 minutes now. And with Marty Tuma, I assume, lost for the game, more line juggling on the Danbury bench.
Steve Brown throws a check. Kept in by Bajul as an offensive zone draw for the Watertown Wolves following the fight.
5 minutes each for fighting.
Brown staple guns a man against the boards in the corner. Puck will squirt out towards Dearson. Takes a swing at it. Kasich up one-on-one. Kasich entering in on Powell. It rolls off of his stick and goes into the near side corner. Now Mealy is checked from behind by Pawlowski. It's enough to knock the puck loose. Bajul takes a blow from Matthias Kasich. Kasich gets to the puck first. Now is a little bit of open space. Fans on the shot attempt trickling towards the net. Mealy just wide. Mealy had it on the goal line and couldn't poke it home. Inches away from crossing over that red painted line was Steve Mealy and just couldn't force it towards the opening.
It was the angle. He just didn't have the angle there. Pominville allowed that little bit of an opening, but it's so tough because he's parallel with the goal line. He sends it across, and there's no way that puck's getting into the back of the net.
Yeah, the only way that's happening is if he directs it off of Pominville.
As a wrist shot, and Devaney scores. A 2-on-1 developing. And Devaney is able to bury it. It's 2-1.
Oh, nice shot selection by Devaney as he wires this one over the blocker side of Tom McGuckin. It's another odd man rush that the Danbury Hat-Tricks give up. A 2-on-1 here for Devaney. It is his 12th goal of the season. And, boy, that shot launched off of his stick.
And that's great because that 2-on-1 just kept going and going, and Devaney had space, and Menton was kind of caught in between in no man's land. And he says, well, if I want to get this low to the goal here, I'm just going to roof one. And it's tough to make that save if you're McGuckin. It's one thing to bring your glove up and make a glove hand save high. It's another to get your whole blocker up there to knock it away.
Here's Desjardins teeing up a slap shot and a kick save by McGuckin. So the Watertown Wolves officially on the board, and no shutout here tonight in Danbury, as we've seen plenty of high-scoring affairs. Shinkarik taking the puck away, entering in on the right side. Bronner in front of the net. Shinkarik's shot goes off the side of the net. Listmayer takes a step in on the near side point and wraps it around to Shinkarik. Bronner will be setting up in front, now escapes behind the net to play the puck. Sends it out to an area. Listmayer fields. Down low to Levesque. Levesque loses the handle on it as he got checked by Kugler. It will be popped up into the air down towards McGuckin. It will go wide of the cage, and thus it will be an icing. 8 minutes and 33 seconds gone by in the second period.
Yeah, they've had a couple of penalties, Watertown has, but the biggest thing I think in this period for them is their physicality. A couple of nice hits in the defensive zone for them has jarred the puck free and has created some clearing chances. Obviously, that one goes down for icing. The physicality's there for Watertown.
And that's a good point, Jack, because Danbury's offense, it's not clicking on all cylinders like we've seen.
Kasich with a shot that's kicked out by Pominville. Lively bounce is picked up by Powell. Marvin Powell took a stick to the midsection from Casper Dearson. It will be kept alive by Tom McGuckin. Atwell will hold behind his net. And we'll wait for his offense to set up as Ruiz dishes it to his right to Casper Dearson. Takes a swing at it, trying to shuffleboard it up the wall. Kasich calling for it. Instead, he sends it up to Ruiz with open space. Ruiz maneuvering in, gets Pominville out of his net, looking for the wraparound. It's blocked in front by Port. And Justin Coachman was also there to stymie the play. Now here's Boudreau in transition. Forced wide by Brown. Out to the slot. Port's shot is blocked. It goes into the corner. Jurich with a setup in front, intercepted by Ruiz. Kasich will pick it up and try to generate some transition play as he takes a check by Port, and the linesman had to escape from danger on that one. Dearson takes it away. Now trying to forward it ahead is Mealy and couldn't wire it down low to Levesque.
Yeah, much more back and forth action there. That's a great shift from Vladdy Port as he was all over the place, created a shot attempt that had gone wide, but he had a good play in the neutral zone and the defensive zone to win the puck back.
Here's Port up the right wing to Boudreau. Boudreau crossing the blue line to his right. Jurich now out to the slot. Port, it goes off of his skates and into the near side corner. Here's Brett Menton up the left wing. Menton looking over for Levesque. It goes off of the defensive skates of Port, and it will be held on by Pominville. So now we're approaching the halfway point of the second period. We're starting to see Brett Menton a little bit as the substitute for Marty Tuma on the blue line. And he got trial by fire here as his first shift was staring down the barrel of a 2-on-1.
Oh, trial by fire, and I noticed Brett Menton at the end of the first period really doing some turns, getting his legs warm again because he hadn't played a shift up until that point. Tuma goes down, and now suddenly Menton is being called on to play a regular defensive shift. It's hard to sort of get yourself into the game like that.
Well, it's a lot like a netminder coming in cold in substitution. You're trying to get yourself back into the rhythm of the game as Bronner is unable to hold the blue line. Bronner will turn around in frustration and voices dispute to the officiating crew, but nevertheless it's an offsides, and we have reached the media timeout with 9:56 to go in the second period. We want to remind you to follow the Danbury Hat-Tricks at Danbury Hat-Tricks on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and like the content for exclusive live interviews, streams, highlights, and more. As we have going on, Catch the Cactus going on in front of us, but right now, back and forth action so far. 2-1 is your score in favor of the Danbury Hat-Tricks, and Jack, it's been a back and forth affair now as Watertown is starting to get their legs underneath them.
Absolutely, and it's as soon as you kill off those 4 minutes, Watertown's able to find themselves back into their comfort zone, and that's important for them is just finding the comfort zone. And when you generate those odd man rushes, Danbury is very aggressive in their own zone. So you'll see them jump up a little bit. We mentioned how active the defenders are. When that happens and you're playing a Brett Menton who's on his first shift, it's easy to take advantage of on the counter. That's what they did. They can find a way to do that again. I mean, that's going to be their number one chance at producing more goals.
You're absolutely right. And beyond that, you talk about producing goals. Danbury's still only with 2 shots on goal in this period. They've had a pair of power plays. That's where the 2 shots on goal came on. But they got to change something. They got to get something going offensively. They say the best defense is a good offense. You keep the puck down in the Watertown zone. They were very successful doing that last weekend, but the Wolves have kind of taken this period over so far.
Shots on goal dead even at 11-11 so far as we reach the halfway point of the entire contest. Kugler looking up the ice. It finds the stick of Phil Bronner, but now will be turning around as Marvin Powell as he sends that one into the catching glove of Tom McGuckin, and the Wolves will get an offensive zone draw.
And you're almost waiting for the Hat-Tricks to just go off on a streak. We saw them do it on Saturday, and a lot of these games, you know, they start off 2-1, 3-2 where it's tight, and then the Hat-Tricks will rattle off 3 unanswered. And then there's no response from that from the opposing team. You're starting to get the feeling as we've surpassed the halfway point here that we might not see that tonight. This might be a grind fest for a full 60.
Well, Ruiz finds Kasich on the left wing, has a little bit of space in front of him, will circle around and has Ruiz open in the slot. Can't connect with him. Powell got a stick on it, and you mentioned it, Jack, because the Hat-Tricks scored 6 unanswered goals last Saturday against the Watertown Wolves, 4 of them coming in the last few minutes of the second period to jump out from a 3-2 deficit to a 6-3 lead over Watertown. So at a moment's notice, things can change here in the FPHL as that shot attempt from Jurich goes wide of the net. Taking it is Boudreau, circling around, trying to get square to the net. Now has it. He's a righty, so he's got it on his backhand. Atwell forces him out of the zone, and bringing a man down is Casper Dearson, and that will be a penalty as Boudreau wisely gripped that stick underneath his right armpit. Pominville to the bench, and we'll get a 6-on-4 as Bagjul will hop over the boards as the extra skater. Boudreau up the left wing. Boudreau has it pop off of his stick. Bunnell is there first. And now it will be touched up by the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Lucas shrugs his shoulders. But it will be a delayed call, and with 8:30 to go in the second period, the Hat-Tricks will be on the short-handed end of things once more.
Yeah, Corey Anderson's getting a warm round of applause here for leaving the bench. So he serves his time for the fighting major that we saw a little bit earlier in this second period. And Well, that's the kind of effort he provides in all phases of the game. But those are one of the plays. Again, we mentioned Casper Dierson. It's his first game back from injury, and he just gets tangled up from the Energizer, Derek Boudreau. I think he's going to be a difference maker in this game for this team. I think, he's a great face-off in the face-off dot, and he was just holding that puck on the blue line for so long and eventually drew that penalty.
Yeah, you see the talent where he's able to stick handle like that in that dangerous area.
Puck will go clear down, and Pominville will have to skate behind his net. He'll direct traffic. Aggressively out on the forecheck is Carter Shinkarik. He'll spin away from the play and allow some time for Devaney to set up shop for the Watertown power play. Devaney picks up a head of steam, has Gavrik in front of him. Devaney trying to get around him. He does. Motors on into the goal line. Shot saved by McGuckin, and he holds. And not a whole lot of interference there from Vlad Gavrik, as Devaney was able to speed on in and get a clear look to the net.
Well, Devaney using his speed there on the converted defenseman and Vlad Gavrik. And, in front of the net was Jamie Lucas. He did a good job of keeping his stick down on the ice. You don't necessarily have to get a shot off there. Just having it deflect off your stick, it can easily find its way into the back of the net. A good job by Tom McGuckin. Paddle down on the ice. He blocks that pass, and he gets the face-off.
Puck is chopped back over to the near side circle of the Watertown end, and the Wolves will have to go the full 200. Gordy Bunnell is out behind the end line trying to jam the communication lines. Boudreau loses the handle on the puck. Carter Shinkarik throws a check behind the play. Boudreau looks at the linesman, but play goes on as Bunnell takes the puck away and clears it down the length of the ice. Carter Shinkarik, it's a dangerous play if you're Carter Shinkarik. You want to be able to throw your weight around and make your presence felt, but you run the risk of getting an elbow or an interference with a late hit like that.
You're right, but at the same time, you also need to respond to the physical nature that the Watertown Wolves have brought so far in this second period.
Lucas is setting up shop in front of McGuckin, setting the screen as the Wolves play the perimeter. Out to the far side corner, Boudreau holds, spins around, feeds Jurich, cutting across the goal line, loses the handle on it. Now a turnaround shot is blocked in front and cleared out of the air by Freeman. Held onto by Devaney, plays it over towards Boudreau as Bunnell in front of him. To the far side corner it goes. Out to Boudreau in the circle. Freeman, Listmayer doing battle in front as Listmayer trying to lift the stick of Lucas to prevent the redirection. Now a shot from Jurich is held onto by McGuckin. McGuckin bowled over by Lucas. And a roar of approval from Section 102 as McGuckin took the hit, made the save, and cleared it out of the zone.
And give a lot of credit to Tommy Freeman, who as that puck was bouncing near in the paint, it's up in the air, and he just swats it away with his hand.
And now with 3 seconds to go, we'll have another penalty upcoming as Nicola Levesque had the puck, and Cruz Listmayer and Tyler Jurich will come together.
There's a Watertown Wolf that's down along the side while in the Danbury zone. There's 2 seconds left in the penalty to check that, Casper Dierson, and, well, Danbury will have to deal with a 5-on-3 for 2 seconds. Looks like it's Marvin Powell, the injured Watertown player, and Cruz Listmayer will find himself back in the penalty box. Watertown, they're 0 for 4 on the power play. They're about to be 0 for, or rather, they'll be going on their 5th power play, but Danbury can't keep giving them these kinds of opportunities, Shaq.
Yeah, it's just going to hurt them in the long run. I mean, you're right away from killing off this penalty to Dierson, and then you take another penalty. I mean, we mentioned it at the start of this period. Watertown had 2 penalties, and look at this. Cruz Listmayer, he's going off 5-minute major, and
a game misconduct.
There he goes.
It's going to be 5 minutes, I imagine, for boarding. We will await the official call, but now if you're the Danbury Hat-Tricks and head coach Billy McCreary, you really got to start scraping the bottom of that barrel. Marty Tuma, he's lost to the game for injury. Cruz Listmayer is now lost to the game for a penalty. That's your second defensive pairing.
Yeah. You're down to 4 defensemen now, guys. I mean, it's you'll have Brownie and Atwell on the top line, and then it's going to be Menton who's going to be working probably hand in hand with Freeman. And now, Zach, you mentioned it when Tuma initially went down. I think we're probably going to see Steve Mealy have to play some defensive minutes now. This is a huge moment in this game for Watertown because they can pepper in as many shots and many goals as they can, and that 5 minutes is not going to come off the clock until it hits 0.
That's a great point, Jack. It's a 5-minute major power play. Watertown comes in with the second best power play in the league, converting on over 25% of their chances. This is their 5th power play. Statistically, they're due and they have certainly played very well this period.
Face-off will be to the left of Tom McGuckin. It's won by the Wolves. Quick one-time shot is fought off by McGuckin. And we're back to 5-on-4 now with 4:55 to go in the power play for the Watertown Wolves. And an extended chance for the Wolves to not only tie the game but take the lead. As out into the center of the zone it goes. It's kept in by Powell. Now fielded by Shinkarik. Stretch pass out for Dearson. He backhands it in deep to the Watertown zone, and Danbury will go to work on the long haul trying to kill off this major penalty as Cruz Listmeyer will be in the penalty box. Excuse me, not even in the penalty box. Matties Kasich is in the box. As Listmeyer gets an early visit to the locker room. Powell in the high slot. Over to Pawlowski, pitch and catch. Now over to the far side circle, finds Boudreau. Chopping onions, gets it out to Powell in the high slot as Bronner on one knee in front of him. Setting a screen in front unimpeded is Jamie Lucas. Now normally that's Cruz Listmeyer that picks a man up in front of the net as Pawlowski tries to get it down low. Clearing attempt by Brown is kept in by Powell. 4 minutes to go in the major power play. Powell sends it down low past the stick of Lucas. Lucas fields at the far side point, now trying to escape from the check of Aaron Atwell. Cycle game. Pawlowski backdoor looking for the stuff-in try. Stopped by McGuckin with the left leg pad. Kept in by Pawlowski. High slot Powell. That shot goes off the leg of a friendly fire. That's Boudreau. Taking a swing and clearing it is Shinkarik.
Oh, Casey, you mentioned Cruz Listmeyer would normally have Lucas in front of a net. I'm seeing Danbury paying much more attention to Tyler Jurich. Aaron Atwell, who's the weak side defender, normally he would take that guy. Instead, he's dealing with Jurich.
Here's a shorthanded look for Bunnell, now dragging the toe, trying to get around Powell and can't get around him as almost a shorthanded breakaway opportunity for Gordy Bunnell. And now back the other way in transition. Here comes Watertown. Desjardins looking to the net that goes off of the stick of Mealy, who is, you are right, playing that defensive position now alongside Thomas Freeman. It goes up into the netting with 3:11 to go in the power play and 4:43 to go in the period.
Yeah, that's a couple of good plays there. First off, the Bunnell effort in the attacking zone, just try to generate something away from your goaltender, allows the guys to get a little breather here. And the biggest challenge, guys, is there's another 3 minutes and 11 seconds to kill off on this penalty. They also have to go the long way to get to the bench, so it's going to be a long, long time for this Hat-Tricks team. They have to find a way to do things like this.
Powell shields the puck away from Anderson. Now Bogjoul goes behind his net to play the puck. Bogjoul trying to outrace Johnny Ruiz. He crosses the blue line in on Freeman. Has Sanstebo out there with him, as well as Desjardins, Powell, and Jurich. Knocking a man down to one knee, but retaining possession. The Watertown Wolves lose the handle on it. Freeman trying to escape. It's turned over. Here's Desjardins fighting in the corner with Johnny Ruiz, who gets there first and swipes it down to the end of the zone. That's 2:35 to go in the major penalty. Pominville with a long stretch pass, and back in come the Wolves. Great pass by Pominville as Boudreau behind the net to Pawlowski. Has Bronner throwing a stick check at him. Pawlowski at the midboards. Mealy in front of him, as well as Carter Shinkarik. Powell at the point. Quick one-touch pass, and they score! Derek Boudreau roofs one. And a power play goal evens up the score. It's 2-2.
Casey, you call it the bumper position. It's the firing position there for Derek Boudreau. And again, you know, we saw this in last weekend's game. Johnny Ruiz sends one off the back bar. It comes quickly out. I thought that one perhaps had gone off the crossbar, but the referee with the right call. And Jack, to your point with the major power play, the Watertown Wolves, they've tied it up. They still have a power play for another 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
It's a long time. I mean, they're out there on the ice on that shift, and the spacing was not right. Boudreau has just way too much time and space in the middle of the ice, and when you're able to turn like that, one time it, and you're directly in center of the net there, it's really tough to miss that shot. And Boudreau, who is the man who drew the 2-minute minor before the 5-minute major penalty issued to Listmeyer, he connects and cashes in on that one.
His 12th goal of the season, trying to kick it up the ice as Shinkarik loses the handle, and now here's Pawlowski, another quick one-touch pass out to Boudreau, looking for that same play, and that is the play that also netted a power play goal last week, guys, as Dominic Bogjoul got himself a power play goal last week with that same kind of pass. Point, corner, slot, opening up that space. And they're also taking advantage of the fact that Danbury's had a devil of a time trying to clear it out of the zone. Entering in on the left side is Lucas. Deking in front of Levesque, and he rifles it off of the glass, taken by Freeman and cleared. 1:15 to go in the major penalty.
Yeah, Freeman learns his lesson there. He finds a little space, and instead of trying to move the puck on his stick.
Oh, now breaking in, a shot ringing it off the iron is Jurich. Jurich snuck in past Freeman, and now the other way. Here come the hat-tricks shorthanded. Bunnell trying to shoulder the puck off. One hands it down low to Levesque and can't get a shot off. Levesque, who has a shorthanded goal so far today, gets it over to Bunnell, trying to kill some precious seconds of this major penalty. Gets it out to Levesque, overcommits on the pass, and now Lucas has some open space in front of him. Gets it over now to Boudreau on the left wing, trying to get around Gavrik. Spins away from him, feeds Powell, streaking in. Crossing for the one-time shot, goes off the side of the net. 30 seconds to go in the major penalty. Sonstable in the high slot. Jurich with a turnaround shot, easily paddled aside by McGuckin and cleared down the length of the ice by the hat-tricks.
And guys, I can confirm now that they're paying attention to Jurich on the penalty kill. Nick Levesque, besides being the second leading scorer on this team, he's also a player assistant coach. He's pointing at for Brett Menton to cover Tyler Jurich, and who's on that breakaway just seconds later.
And now breaking in Sonstable, looking across the way for Jurich, and now a shorthanded 3-on-1. Here comes Ruiz, breaking in on Pominville. Ruiz, backhander, he scores! Johnny Ruiz on the backhand. It's 3-2 hat-tricks.
Johnny Ruiz almost with the same backhand goal he scores in last weekend's event. Again, Aaron Atwell, he starts things off as a penalty is about to expire, and Johnny Ruiz, my goodness, again that backhand, again underneath the crossbar, and again the Danbury hat-tricks have the lead.
And this one wasn't about his skill as his stick handling, it was about his speed and then his ability to hold off that defender. Very similar goal to what we saw with Levesque. It's an odd man rush, short-handed, and it's the ability to lift that puck on the backhand. Johnny Ruiz does it again, 7 days apart.
And Jack, I'm glad that you brought up the speed. Ruiz, he's one of the faster players out here. He really just puts his head down and just motors ahead as quickly as possible. It almost seemed that he had to take that backhand. By the time he picked his head up, he goes, oh boy, I'm close to the net.
And just as the major penalty was expiring, and once more a shorthanded goal in the final 2 minutes of a period. And how does that happen? Another shorthanded breakaway opportunity for the Danbury hat-tricks, the second one and the second time that they've been able to convert this game.
And it's almost like they prefer to be shorthanded. I mean, you don't want to stay in the box for too long, but they're finding some space back the other way with a man down.
So despite the major penalty, the Danbury hat-tricks and Watertown Wolves find themselves back where they started, with the Wolves trailing by one as McGuckin leaps up into the air to block that one. Bouncing puck out in front of the net is steered aside by Shinkarik, and now Levesque up with one more rush. 20 seconds to go in the period. Levesque on the left wing gets it to his backhand. Pominville throws a puck check and whiffs on it. Shinkarik picks it up, looking for the stuff-in try. Now dropping the gloves and going at it is Levesque. Levesque and Kugler dropping the gloves. Kugler lands a right. Levesque pinned against the wall, trying to get his arm free. Levesque throwing some left-handed jabs, throws a swing with his right hand. Getting it free, looking for the head of Kugler. Trying to get some leverage. Kugler throws an uppercut, now Levesque with a hook. Trying to bring him down to the ice, he's got the inside. Levesque has a little bit of the upper center of gravity on Kugler. Levesque with a couple of big rights. Charging at him like a bull and driving him into the boards is Levesque.
Well, I think I know who everybody's favorite player in Danbury is right now. It's rare you see him pump up the crowd during a fight. Kugler was looking for one. He was challenging Steve Mealy just moments ago. He gets crunched together with Levesque. Levesque's willing to go. And, you know, we thought the first fight with Corey Anderson was entertaining. That one's even better.
And he's a showman, too. He's holding on to Kugler, and he's raising his right hand. Come on, guys, get into this. This is a good fight. Oh, that's incredible. And the reason that started, guys, was Kugler and Mealy were going at it in front of Pominville. And he was just like, that's enough. So they made contact. Words were exchanged, and it was a very quick play because the puck was still in the attacking zone.
Yeah, Carter Shinkarik had a nice opportunity.
I mean, that's something you have to look at and say, all right, you know, we got the puck here. But Levesque said, this is enough. I'm going right after him. And He puts on a show once again, and the little skate around, too, to draw up a little bit of excitement as well.
Especially when Kugler's going after Steve Mealy, who is so important, especially now, down 2 defensemen. Kugler was giving Mealy plenty of trouble in front of the net. Levesque gets involved, and, he's never been afraid to throw him before. And, boy, he got everybody on his feet here in Danbury up standing out of their seats.
And it's funny that the fight came at the moment it did because Carter Shinkarik was still doing battle in front of the net. It actually interrupted what was a pretty good last-second chance for Carter Shinkarik. I'm sure Shinkarik hears the whistles and goes, "What? Why?" And then, okay, never mind.
Oh, better that than the net coming off its moorings again.
That's true. As the puck is knocked loose in the neutral zone, Kasich will send it into the corner of his own zone, and that will do it for the second period. Well, a little bit of everything, a little scoring, a little fighting, and the Danbury Hat-Tricks still maintain their 1-goal lead over the Watertown Wolves as they now lead 3-2 in what was an eventful period. And Jack, a fight in the final minute of play. People always talk about how fights can swing momentum either one way or the other. How do you think Watertown will respond to now having their player drop the gloves? They allowed a shorty. They've got to be fired up heading into the second intermission, knowing they've got to change.
It's a tough position Watertown's in because they're out shooting Danbury right now by 3. They tie things up. They come back down from 2-0. Then they let up another shorthanded goal, and then they have the building on Danbury's side once again, thanks to a great fight by Nick Levesque. I mean, it just must be frustrating for Watertown right now. They have to say, all right, we were able to come back down from 2 goals. It's just a 1-goal deficit here. We have 20 minutes to do it. Let's continue to draw penalties because that's worked for us so far. We got to continue to attack, and try to establish those odd man chances against Tom McGuckin and keep firing it in there because they got high-quality chances and they connected on them. Tom McGuckin, again, has been strong in this game, has made some good saves when Watertown's knocked on the door. Fire it in, fire it in, fire it in. Just keep trying to do that.
And while Watertown fires it on goal and keeps continually testing Tom McGuckin, they're keeping Danbury out of the offensive zone. Watertown 2 goals that period. They limited the Hat-Tricks to 5 shots on goal. You mentioned how Watertown has the advantage right now. It is 16-13. But in that period, Watertown had 3 power plays, including the major power play. So if you're the Wolves, Jack, to your point, just keep peppering it on. Meanwhile, if you're Danbury, we've continuously spoken about responses. They give up the power play goal, and then a great play by Johnny Ruiz to make it 3-2. I mean, it's anybody's game right now, and it's befitting of a matchup between the 2 of the 3 top teams in the Eastern Division with first place on the line.
Well, first place on the line and history on the line as the Danbury Hat-Tricks 20 minutes away from their 10th consecutive victory. Will they be able to close it out? Will they be able to tie the Danbury Titans' 10-game win streak record here in Danbury? We'll find out after the ice is cut here at the Danbury Arena. You're watching Hat-Tricks Hockey on the Hat-Tricks YouTube channel. Casey Bryant alongside Zach McGinnis and Jack O'Mara. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for live coverage of the Danbury Hat-Tricks as they take on the Watertown Wolves here at Danbury Arena. Time now for our FPHL out-of-town scoreboard, and boy, can I not wait for this particular update. Here is Zach McGinnis.
Thanks, Casey. Let's get to the more boring ones first. Down in Georgia, Delaware has taken a 3-2 lead over the Columbus River Dragons. About 5 minutes remaining in the second period. Jay Krupp and Eric Masters finding the back of the net in that game. Out in Ohio, Carolina has a 2-1 lead over the Mentor Icebreakers. They've got about 4 minutes remaining in the second period. Out west, Danville and Port Huron are tied at 1. And, you know, this is how impressed I am and how excited I am. Here in Danbury, they've got a 3-2 lead over the Watertown Wolves. Special teams really coming through in the second period. Joe Devaney made it 2-1 for Watertown. Derek Boudreau tied it at 2 on the power play. Johnny Ruiz, a shorthanded goal, and, well, we'll talk more about that later. But the biggest news in the Federal Prospects Hockey League right now, out in Battle Creek, Michigan, the Rumblebees with a 4-1 lead over the Elmira Enforcers with under 4 minutes remaining in the second period. You know, Casey, Jack, the public address announcer here, Christian Gardecki, he announces the out-of-town scoreboard as well. When that was announced, a cheer came up here. We believe in the Battle Creek Rumblebees as they look to secure their first victory of the year in the 21st game of the season.
And that comes just short of the overall losing streak record set in the CHL of 22 games.
That's the Wichita Thunder. They went 0-22, but let's not jinx it, boys. They still got a period to play out in Battle Creek. We saw Elmira here in Danbury. They can score in bunches, but boy, I really hope Adam Steo and the Battle Creek Rumblebees can finally get one in the win column out there.
Words don't describe how ecstatic I am for the Battle Creek Rumblebees.
Well, I saw your
right
celebration when they announced it. It looked like you scored a goal.
Look, it's for one thing, having a winless team just isn't good for the league. I mean, let's just get that out of the way. So automatically, you want there to be parity. You want there to be a sense of anytime you don't want it to be a joke when you play a team. In any sport, no one wants to be the 08 Lions.
Well, that's very true. The imperfect season.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants that. No one wants to be the Cleveland Browns.
No.
You know, they want to. You want it to be competitive. You don't want it to get to the point where the Western Division is already settled.
Yeah.
And the Battle Creek Rumblebees, like we said before, if they rattle off a couple wins,
all they need is 6.
All they need is 6. Well, anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch here at Danbury, it's time for the third period as the Hat-Tricks have the puck dropped, and away we go against the Watertown Wolves in the final frame of action. The Hat-Tricks protecting a 3-2 lead, gunning for their 10th consecutive victory of the season. It would tie a Danbury hockey record set in 2015-16 by the Danbury Titans, who would go on to make a deep playoff run that year. As here's Corey Anderson breaking in, crossing the way to Ruiz, fanned on the shot attempt, had a yawning net mouth in front of him. Here's Ruiz once more, looking for Anderson to the far side post and can't connect with him. Puck is forced behind the end line, and it's Kyle Powell. And some early pressure here from Ruiz and Anderson.
Have to give the credit to Jamie Lucas there, comes in on the back check and just is enough of a presence in that Johnny Ruiz couldn't pull the trigger on the shot. But you love the effort there for Corey Anderson, leads himself with a pass off the boards.
Here's his shot attempt by Vlad Port is blocked in front, and it goes into the far side corner. Fighting for it, George behind the net, has Lucas set up between the hash marks, and it's out of his reach, and it will go down the length of the ice.
You know, Casey, you mentioned the history that the Danbury Hat-Tricks are trying to tie here against the Titans. I had the chance to call those games, and you know that was a special season. And if the Danbury Titans, or rather if the Danbury Hat-Tricks can do what the Titans did that year, they had a 2-0 lead in the best-of-5 finals against the Port Huron Prowlers. The series went back to Port Huron. The Prowlers rattled off 2 wins, and then they brought Game 5, the ultimate game, the last game of the season, at Ahmed Mahfouz, now currently playing on the trailing Elmira Enforcers to the Battle Creek Rumblebees. Ahmed Mahfouz with a hat-trick in that game, and, well, the fans here went home disappointed, but it's great history to certainly chase after as we're getting closer to the middle of the season.
Asselstein with a one-time shot that goes well high and wide. A wonky bounce off the stanchion finds its way to Vlad Gavrik as he looks up the ice. Intended for Shinkarik, well out of his reach. And this will be, no icing, they'll say.
No, Coachman could have played that puck, their linesmen are saying, and he let it go.
So it'll be Pawlowski dumping it in deep as play goes on. Merrily we roll along as Pawlowski at the far side midboard sends it out into the neutral zone where Kyle Powell will settle things down. Bogjul crosses the way to port, back over to Bogjul, and they will say they entered in offsides. 2 minutes, 2 seconds gone by here in the final frame.
Good start for Watertown right now, guys. They had the puck in the attacking zone, a couple of shots from the blue line. They're working from the front to the back and then trying to create something in the middle area. That's how they created that second goal from Derek Boudreau. They're looking for that option again.
Yeah, they're looking for the holes in the Danbury defense right now, and unfortunately there have been holes in that defense. We saw it especially with the Boudreau goal. Danbury, meanwhile, they're down 2 defensemen in Marty Tuma and Cruz Lismeyer, both out for different reasons. So, yeah, if you're the Watertown Wolves, you need to attack. You need to have that aggressive mindset.
Kasich will get it over to Gordy Bennell on the right side. Bennell settles things down, now dishes it down low to Mealy, wrapping it around, trying to get it to the far side post, and getting a toe on it was Jeremy Pominville.
Oh, that's such a good pass from Bennell. He just flutters it on the way into Mealy over the defensive sticks. Great play.
Bouncing puck in the high slot will be taken by Jamie Lucas, has Vlad Port joining the rush with him. Lucas will dump it in deep, and Boudreau, who has scored a goal so far in this game, pursues the puck. Out to the blue line, kept in by Powell. Slides it over to Jurich. A one-time shot is blocked by the stick of the diving Steve Brown. And some applause from the Danbury faithful sitting behind the Hat-Tricks bench for that effort for Steve Brown.
Well, Steve Brown hunched over as he goes back to the bench. Danbury certainly can't afford to lose him as well in this game. But you want to talk about leaving it all out there? That's Tyler Jurich, a 50-goal scorer who's winding up and firing, and Brown fearlessly gets in the way of that.
It will be Desjardins and Johnny Ruiz in the face-off dot to the right of Tom McGuckin. Won by Desjardins. Back to Coachman at the point. Mishandles the puck right in front of the Hat-Tricks bench. And a good job by Phil Brunner to knock a man down. Johnny Ruiz with a soccer-style kick pass. Phil Brunner now holding the blue line with some nifty stick work as Anderson had to get back on sides. Now he loses the handle on it, and here come the Wolves in transition. Boudreau up with Desjardins and Jurich. Gets it over to Jurich on the left side. Desjardins to the net. Desjardins out to the point. Coachman fields it, now sends it towards the net, redirected by Boudreau, saved by McGuckin. Another stop by McGuckin on the near side post, and we'll get a stoppage in play as a hand pass is called.
That's such a great save there for Tom McGuckin off the deflection in front, because it's so difficult when you make your initial move as a goaltender to go down. It's difficult to make a second move that quickly when you're already going one way. He sticks his block around, he just gets a piece of it. That's really, really great awareness there by the goaltender.
And to your point, Jack, especially with the momentum, it's carrying him the wrong way. He's got to make sure that he gets close to that post.
Over by the Watertown bench. Entering in on Atwell, but Atwell intercepts. Here comes Atwell now with a head of steam. As Dearson to his right enters in with now Bennell to his left. Atwell forced back to the point. Will wrap it around. Intended for Bennell. It's out of his reach. Marvin Powell will take a swing at it, trying to chop it out of the Watertown end. Now finally forced out to the neutral zone, where Steve Brown will be retreating from the pursuit of Pawlowski. Dearson with Shinkarik behind him. Dearson with a wrist shot. That's a hard shot right into the center of the sweater of Jeremy Pominville, and he holds 4 minutes, 2 seconds gone by in the third.
And those are two guys that you're going to watch for Danbury. Now that Casper Dearson is back in the lineup, you're going to see those two paired up with Shinkarik and Dearson. When one of them's in the center, one of them's in the wing position. They've had great chemistry since they were both acquired mid-season for the Hat-Tricks. And when they joined the team, that's when the hot streak really started for this Hat-Trick side.
And, you know, they had to do it with Dearson having a lower body injury. But to your point, with the chemistry that they were able to develop, Dearson in his first game back doesn't look like he's missed a beat.
Play will be stopped because the puck found its way to the back of the netting. And we'll get a stop. 4 minutes, 15 seconds gone by in the third. The Hat-Tricks protecting a 3-2 lead. And just to provide another scoring update for those involved and those with a vested interest in the Federal Prospects Hockey League, the Battle Creek Rumblebees have scored again. It's 5-1.
It's 5-2 now.
5-2 right now, just as I was clicking refresh?
Yes. Dale Dion With 9 seconds remaining in the second period, he restores the 3-goal lead. But how about the game Ryan Alves is having out there? A natural hat trick in the second period for Battle Creek.
I mean, while we have a 1-goal game, and it's an important game at that for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, it is historic what is happening out in Michigan right now. So we'll keep you abreast of that as play goes on here as Corey Anderson turns around and motors his way up the right wing. With Mealy to his left, Anderson squares to the net, his wrist shot, trying to pick a corner and missed. Off the end boards it goes. Mealy didn't recognize that the puck was behind him. Instead, he meanders off towards the bench.
Yeah, he had a long shift, and there's no point of wasting any more energy to go fight for a puck when it's one-on-one and the rest of your line mates are changing as well.
Saucer pass goes off the leg of Phil Bronner. Had to stick out his right leg and wore that one a little bit on his breezers. Now entering in is Johnny Ruiz. Ruiz gets around one defender, spins away from Boudreau, gets it to Levesque, backhander off the end boards, and Steve Brown will pinch in. Brown looking intended for Levesque. His stick failed him. And now that generates a rush opportunity for the Wolves. Jurich with Boudreau streaking to the net. Now out to Sanstebo. Can't field it cleanly as Nicola Levesque, and a hard check by Phil Bronner. Now back the other way come the Hat-Tricks, a 3-on-2. Intended for Levesque, and that goes off of a defensive leg. And the Wolves are able to prevent that break. And otherwise it would have been an odd man rush for Danbury. Pawlowski back to Port, and the Wolves. You know, we saw the Wolves when they were trailing by 3 last Saturday to the Danbury Hat-Tricks, mustered only 2 shots on goal against the Hat-Tricks. Now here they are in the third period. They're trailing by 1, and they're certainly keeping their feet moving better, but you're waiting for that moment where they start to really fire some offensive chances and generate some offensive zone time. But the Hat-Tricks have taken it to them, by including this shift here where they dump it in deep.
Well, it was the first 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes where Watertown had moments like this, but then the Hat-Tricks just caught up to them, and it's been pretty much back and forth. Neither side really showing an edge right now in this third period.
As that play kind of is indicative of everything that's happened here for Watertown. They get one look to the net, it goes wide, and then they're back out of the zone, and they're forced back in deep into their own end, and the Hat-Tricks get fresh legs back out over the boards.
Fresh legs, short shifts for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. They're playing a lot of dump and chase right now.
Kasich on the near side, a good takeaway by Gordy Bonnell. Kasich takes a hard check from Asselstein, who is back out on the action after dropping the gloves earlier. As McGuckin will pounce on the puck that was trickling towards him. And we get a stoppage of play, 6 minutes, 48 seconds gone by. Time ticking ever slowly towards the conclusion of this contest here in Danbury as the Hat-Tricks searching for a historic 10th consecutive victory. And McGuckin so far has stopped 15 of 17 shots. Not a whole lot of shots on goal credited. Certainly a far cry from the 56-45 shots on goal game that happened last Friday in Watertown.
Now that was last Friday in Watertown. The very next day here in Danbury, McGuckin sees another 48 shots. I mean, that's a lot of rubber for a goaltender to deal with.
A lot of black and blue. You hope he caught it all in the padding, but now here's Bonnell breaking in. Bonnell with Mealy to the net. Looking for Mealy. Shot, he scores! Bonnell to Mealy. It's 4-2.
Oh, Steve Mealy, his shuffleboard lessons have worked out here. Bonnell, he drives the play to the corner. He draws all the defenders towards him, shovels it towards the front of the net, and check that. Steve Mealy, not the biggest player out there. He needed every inch he could just to get some wood on that.
And guys, how does that goal start? A turnover forced by Gordy Bonnell in the neutral zone, and then he uses his leverage. He's not a bigger guy. Gordy Bonnell's one of the smaller guys on this Hat-Tricks team, but he's using his body to keep that separation. Eventually, he gets a little bit of space, and then again, another odd man rush deep in the zone, and Steve Mealy just gets that nice touch in on goal and sneaks it past Pominville, and a great feed from Bonnell, and he's one of the hottest guys in terms of creating production. His 18th assist this season, that's a team high.
And that, you are right, Jack. 18 assists, a team high, and Gordy Bonnell just stays red hot. He's got points now in 13 of his last 14 games for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. He has been nothing short of stellar, as we got a conversation going on right now between the officiating crew and the Watertown Wolves.
No, what's going on right now is I think a couple overzealous fans hanging out over by the Texas Roadhouse sign. Again, this is seamless glass between the blue lines here in Danbury, and one of those clips, I guess you could say, that holds the glass in place came loose, but looks like General Manager Rob Sutherland doing a good job. Knocks that back into place, and we should be back underway.
An honest day's work.
On this one for Rob Sutherland. Shout out to Rob, who's our Mr. Do-It-All here at Danbury Arena. There's nothing that he can't do.
No, they're making him earn it today.
So for Steve Mealy, his third goal of the season, and he's trying to keep that point-per-game pace. He only plays in the home games, really, for Danbury, but he's contributed in every single one of them. He's one of the most valuable players on this Danbury hat-trick team as Desjardins enters in on the left side, looks to the net, steered aside by McGuckin into the near side corner. And now McGuckin can breathe a little bit as he gets his second multi-goal lead of the game. And here's Bronner entering in on the right side. Dumps it in. Pominville will settle things down, and we'll see how the Watertown Wolves respond to being down by multiple goals in the third period. It was not a great response last Saturday, and we'll see if they have a little bit of more energy here tonight on a Friday, because these two teams will be back in action for a fourth straight time tomorrow night in Watertown, as a setup is fanned on by Boudreau. He got the heel of his stick on it.
And to your point, Casey, these guys have got to be getting tired of each other.
Well,
4 games in a row, home and homes, weekends apart from each other. And, yeah, at Watertown, they didn't have a good response last weekend. This is the first game of the weekend. Let's see what they have left in the tank.
And when teams get sick of each other, you start to see a bit more physicality, hence why we've seen a couple of bouts of fisticuffs here as Boudreau is slow to get up in front of the hat-trick's net. Here's Dearson breaking in on Pominville. Dearson elects to pass instead of the clear shot, and his pass is interrupted. Here's Anderson behind the end line, switches places with Shinkarik, drops it back. Shinkarik on his backhand. Gavrik taking a step in on the right side, trying to cycle it down low. Gavrik in no man's land. Now he gets back to the point. And that's Gavrik starting to learn when to pinch in and when not as a natural winger playing the defense here tonight.
That's a great point, Casey. And Shinkarik does the right thing here because he sees Gavrik pinch, and he doesn't want to be too overzealous, so he just rattles it around to allow his defenseman to get back into position.
Anderson slowly to his right, flips it ahead. It's in deep. Pominville comes out of his net. Pominville is always very aggressive. He always skates out from behind his net to play the puck, stop it when he can for his defense. He's a very active netminder, one of the most comfortable playing the puck in the FPHL. Up the right wing, here's Gavrik taking a step in. Gavrik with a wrist shot that's held by Pominville. Gavrik was off balance a little bit on that shot, but a good job to get it towards the 6x4.
He was off balance, but I really like that shot selection as he's using defenseman Preston Kugler as a screen. Pominville has to kind of dip his head around just to make sure he keeps track of that puck, and the Danbury Hat-Tricks are rewarded with an offensive zone face-off. They're still being outshot in this game. 18-16 are the shots on goal in favor of Watertown, but the Hat-Tricks, boy, they've made them count.
And it feels like it's a low number because you feel like there have been more chances, but that's also a testament to just how many shot attempts have been blocked in this game, because a lot of looks to the net have been interrupted before it reaches the men with the big pads. Aaron Atwell spins away from a forecheck. That's Pawlowski in front of him. Steve Brown up the right wing to Mattias Kasich. 9.5 gone by here in the third period. The Hat-Tricks now lead 4-2. Watertown in transition. Here comes Pawlowski. The referee slow to get up over on the far side.
Linesman ate some ice. Derek Boudreau went down without contact. Ice is getting a little rough out there.
Well, it's choppy. That's why it's all the more impressive that Sydney Hand was able to perform the way that she did during the first intermission.
Give her credit. I would have I would have been doing snow angels out there.
I would have been, regardless of the condition of the ice.
Can you even skate?
Not well.
Oh, man.
Up on the left side, here's Petrie. He dumps it in deep.
How about you, Jack? You skate?
Better than Casey.
That's a low bar to clear.
I got to work on you boys.
As dumping it in and pursuing is Asselstein as he turns around with 9:35 to go in the third period. Thomas Freeman will look back. No icing. Play resumes as he fields it in front of the Two Steps Downtown Grill. Reminder for any fans watching at home in Danbury that you can meet up at TK's American Cafe after the game here tonight. Head on over to grab some wings and meet and greet some of the players as that wrist shot from Shinkarik goes off the catching glove of Pominville. Always a great opportunity to meet and greet the players because they've always been so amicable to the fans here in Danbury.
Yeah, they have. We had the holiday party last night at the Rabbit Hole. couple of season ticket holders and fans alike.
Set up in front as Dearson's shot is blocked by Boudreau and goes out of play.
There's a good turnout at the Rabbit Hole.
Yeah.
People were enjoying themselves in the holiday spirit. Complimentary food and beverages as
And
part
good
of the
food at that.
It's really good.
Yeah, and of
Finger
course,
food, fatty food.
the best kind.
The healthiest kind.
And of course, if you want to keep up to date on any future events happening at Danbury Arena, you can join our mailing list at danburyhattricks.com. Enter your email address and be part of the Hat City Hockey newsletter sent out every Monday. And of course, you can follow the Danbury Hat-Tricks at Danbury Hat-Tricks on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for live game streams, interviews, exclusive highlights, and more. Be sure to follow us across all content where you can hear our lovely voices every home game, which of course will be next Saturday, the 28th, against the Elmira Enforcers.
And you know, Elmira, if they come here after falling to the Battle Creek Rumblebees, you know they're going to be angry. They don't like Danbury enough as it is. But they still trail Battle Creek by a 5-2 score.
They're in the second intermission.
Oh, I'm excited.
I have my breath held.
Oh, boy. We might have to keep this broadcast going
You
just
know-
to talk about the Battle Creek game.
Well, you know how in the 1994 NBA Finals you had the picture-in-picture
Yes.
of Knicks Rockets and then the OJ chase? That's what I want here for Battle Creek, because there's the OJ chase as a big media story and there's Battle Creek winning a hockey game. Those are on the same level to me as someone who was born in 1995.
Yeah, you're making me feel old again. I'll see what I can do. I'll work up some graphics. We'll just put the Battle Creek score up.
Here's Freeman fielding at the far side midboards with less than 9 minutes to play here in Danbury Arena. Behind the end line, Boudreau up to the right wing, Jurich. Jurich has been held off of the score sheet here tonight. Entering in on the left side, Boudreau. Checked by Gavrik, but retains possession of the puck. Has Jurich at the far side circle. His pass is interrupted by Freeman, but Jurich is able to hold on to it. Now Powell thinks about a one-timer, instead dumps it in deep. Sanstebo is setting up in the blue paint. He's being marked by Gavrik as that shot is saved by McGuckin out to the far side point. Rattling around the boards, Gavrik cuts it off. Boudreau takes it away. Gavrik trying to throw a stick check. Now a setup for Sanstebo, a shot and a save by McGuckin. And Gavrik is able to carry it out, so Vlad Gavrik doing a lot of work behind the end line. He was the only Danbury hat-trick in the area of the two most dangerous players on this Watertown Wolves team.
And not exactly the defensive look that you want to see if you're the Danbury Hat-Tricks. And we mentioned how the Hat-Tricks are taking short shifts. It's everybody except Steve Brown and Aaron Atwell. It seems like they're out there for about a minute and a half at a time. They'll get maybe one rush off, and then they're back out there.
Steve Brown behind his end line as the Hat-Tricks are killing off some precious seconds. Time the enemy of the Watertown Wolves as they trail by 2 and really have not gotten too many scoring chances. They had a good offensive shift their previous shift, but so far still trying to solve Tom McGuckin. As a shot attempt is stymied by the stick of Brown and cleared out by Atwell. Here's Mealy trying to slide it over to his left, Bunnell. Bunnell trying to pitchfork it into the zone, taken away by Dominic Bogjoul. Crafty stick work trying to evade Steve Mealy, and a good play by Mealy to interrupt that play. Mealy has played a little bit of everything here tonight. It goes to show you the skill of Mealy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't hoist the barrel tonight. I mean, he's been all over the ice, and he's played both positions in the forward and the defensive role. Right now he's centering this line between Bunnell and then Bronner, who just jumped on the ice.
Lucas is able to clear after blocking a shot off the stick of Thomas Freeman. Freeman will retreat, and this is exactly what the Danbury Hat-Tricks have the luxury of doing. They're allowed so much space in their own zone. They retreat, they hold, they kill some precious seconds, get it in deep. And right now, there's not a whole lot in terms of forecheck for Watertown. It's a bit surprising.
It is, but it's also what we saw what they did last weekend.
Sets up Ruiz for a one-timer shot wide. Bouncing puck to Levesque. His shot goes off of the midsection of Bronner. Down low to Levesque in the corner behind the end line. Set up in front, no one was there. It'll be taken away by Boudreau. Crosses his own blue line, red line. Has Desjardins to his left, Jurich to his right. Boudreau evades a check from Ruiz, flips it towards the net, and snatched by McGuckin with 6:05 to go in regulation time.
We look at this win streak for Danbury. It's up to 9. And a lot of the games we saw Tom McGuckin get challenged in all kinds of plays. 2-on-0s, 3-on-0s even. And he would stand tall and make unbelievable saves. Tonight, he hasn't had to do that. You saw those little dinky shots. He's kept his pads low. The last couple of shifts for Watertown, there have been a couple of shots on goal, but they're easy saves for McGuckin.
That is true. Bouncing puck out in front. Oh, it went into the midsection of Dearson and was almost able to forward that one. Pominville a bit too far out of his net there. Now wrapping around the end line. Less than 6 minutes of play remaining here in regulation in Danbury. The Danbury Hat-Tricks and Watertown Wolves will square off for round 4 tomorrow night in Watertown. And then the Hat-Tricks will be able to celebrate Christmas for a couple of hours before they head back out onto the road Christmas Day as they venture out to Mentor, Ohio to take on the Icebreakers on the 26th. That is a long road trip to take on the day of Christmas Day, and you give these hockey players a lot of credit, as it's a long bus ride out there. It's the dedication as, we have Atwell and Jurich swiping at each other, and a penalty will be called on Jurich.
And these two used to be teammates.
And that's Jurich, who's skating away from it, and he can't believe that he's getting called because Jurich did not make contact with Aaron Atwell, but the attempt was enough.
And if he keeps running his mouth here, he might find himself in the box even longer.
And Jurich having to be restrained by the officiating crew, and the Bronx cheer from the Danbury Hat-Tricks faithful. 1,100 strong, letting Tyler Jurich know just what they feel about the former Danburian.
And that's it.
And there you go, he's tossed. And now a standing ovation. Jurich apoplectic. And a big old wave from Section 102 as Jurich standing on his own bench, and now he's directly screaming at the fans and making his way down the tunnel.
I don't know if that was at the fans or at Paul McLean on the Watertown bench. Either way, it's not a good look for the captain of your team.
No? If you're communicating with McLean, are you frustrated? Are you trying to communicate some inspiration? What is it that you would have to say to your head coach now, as a former player?
It all depends on the situation. Jurich was going to the box originally. He didn't agree with the call, and, well, he just lost his discipline there. It's a shame because Tyler Jurich is a great hockey player, but just not using the muscle above his shoulders there. And it's kind of emblematic of how Watertown has approached this third period.
And Zach, you alluded to it. He's got to be careful because this thing could be longer than just 2 minutes. It's a 2-minute minor, but he's gone for the rest of the game. It doesn't help your team, a player who's been so strong, who's been able to play so well, for him to just keep going off like that. At that point, you call over another alternate captain, somebody to have a discussion where he's not all fired up. He just, again, you mentioned not using your head there. He has to take an early shower.
Well, I tell you what is that we saw on the weekend of the 6th and 7th when the Delaware Thunder were trailing. What did they do? They double shifted Ryan Marker, and they played a little bit of hero ball, yes, but they put out their top scorer multiple times. Jurich now, they're unable to get their leading goal scorer. Jurich has 17 goals on the season, and they're unable to use him trailing by 2 in the most crucial moment of the game.
Mm-hmm. And again, we keep talking about the Danbury Hat-Tricks winning streak. Well, if Watertown loses this, that's now 5 in a row that they've dropped.
Entering in is Corey Anderson, trying to get around a fellow number 27 in Kyle Powell. Gets it over to the near side midboards, pinching in Carter Shinkarik as a minute 20 to go on the power play. Maneuvering in is Ruiz, looking for the back door to Bronner, jostling out in front, loose puck. Levesque gets to it and keeps it in the zone. Shinkarik on the near side point. Bronner sending the screen in front. Pominville gets a kick save. A rebound try is sent just wide. Pominville and Bronner were jostling with each other. Pominville threw a couple of punches out with his blocker. Shinkarik with Bronner setting the screen. Feeds Ruiz for the one-timer. That's swallowed up. And now it trickles over the goal line, and the referee will wave it off. Referee lost sight of it. They'll say that Pominville held onto it for just long enough. It squeaked in under his arm after a little bit of juggling in his padding.
Yeah, I don't know if it went in directly or if it just dropped behind him because Corey Anderson right there on the doorstep bangs it home. Either way, the goal's not going to count. 4:08 remaining here in the third period. And, at least give credit to the Watertown Wolves because they're still staying very aggressive on this penalty kill. They're trying to be opportunistic.
55 seconds remaining in the power play for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. 4 minutes to go in regulation time. Dug out by Bunnell. Streaking in Atwell, all alone in front. He scores! Aaron Atwell, top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. It's 5-2.
And there's your streak of 3 unanswered. Aaron Atwell, the defender, pinching back down. That first shift, that first unit was all 5 forwards. This one, he's the one defenseman there. You can argue Vlad Gavrik as a defenseman as well. He's a true forward. Atwell takes a step in, and then another close-range shot. The Hat-Tricks have used at top shelf over the last couple of games. Atwell's got another one. He had a goal on Saturday. He's got goals in back-to-back games. And there's the cushion and why that penalty to Tyler Jurjic is such a problem for Watertown. And what an advantage there for Atwell.
And technically, if you think about it, Atwell was the one who drew that penalty.
Yep.
For Atwell, it's his only goal of the game so far. He's had a pair of assists. He has been so instrumental. And just imagine, guys, just weeks ago, he was out in Danville. Look at how much the Danbury team has changed in just a few weeks.
Oh, it's impossible to quantify his contributions, especially you're down 2 defensemen here in the second and third period after losing Listmayer and Tuma. Aaron Atwell is the kind of player that you can throw out there in any situation for any amount of time, and he'll be able to contribute offensively. He'll be able to lock it down defensively. He's a terrific two-way player.
He has played absolutely fantastic. It gives Danbury some insurance here. It gives them another power play goal, as that unit is still certainly clicking. And I like the shot placement there because Atwell, he's a left-handed shot, and the goaltender, Palmerville, he almost lined up with Atwell's body as opposed to where the puck was. Atwell's able to shoot far side and wire it past the blocker.
Brett Menton out there chasing after the puck as a Let's Go Hat-Tricks chant erupts from the Danbury faithful. As the Danbury Hat-Tricks now 3:20 away from a 3-goal victory over the Watertown Wolves. Here comes Mealy. It goes off of the elbow of Pominville, and it will deflect out of play with 3:14 to go here in the third period.
And how about the shooting percentage, guys? 5 goals on 20 shots. That's 25%. That's rather good.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
And with the potential to pad that number here with Ruiz, Bronner, and Levesque out there right now, the 3 of them reunited after spending a couple of shifts and a couple of games apart. And why not? The 3 of them have natural chemistry together. As Bronner takes a step in on the right wing, trying to win the puck away from Kyle Powell. The Danbury Hat-Tricks not letting their foot off of the gas pedal whatsoever, as here's Ruiz stealing the puck away. And that is a testament to Billy McCreary's squad to never really let up off the throttle and not take it too easy. I think it's because of just how many back-and-forth one-goal games the Hat-Tricks had in the early goings of the season, which is why they never really truly play conservative prevent defense. As Levesque carries it in on the left wing, Ruiz goes off for a change, replaced by Shinkarik. Levesque's shot attempt steered aside by Pominville, and it goes up into the netting with a stoppage of play with 2:33 to go. 5-2 is your score.
Casey, I think you bring up a good point about the beginning of the year. They begin the year dropping a pair of overtime losses to the Port Huron Prowlers. They lose a few games to the Elmira Enforcers. They lose to Carolina. I mean, they didn't hit the panic button here, but the cover was certainly taken off of that box, and just the way they've been able to respond. I mean, Jack, it's really been special to watch here. Looks like the linesman caught a puck or a stick up high.
2:28 to go in the final frame as we get the linesman attended to, and your out-of-town scoreboard update as we're a couple of minutes here into the action in the third period up in Battle Creek, still leading 5-2, but Elmira is currently on a power play.
I'll tell you what, guys, the victory tonight will be number 10 in a row for the Hat-Tricks. The celebration will not be as nearly as good as if that holds up.
That's true. That's true. Also out of town, Carolina currently leads Mentor 3-1, as that's another key matchup and more separation being provided if the Hat-Tricks are able to finish out this game with a win. That's another Eastern Division team with taking an L tonight.
You're absolutely right. If these results hold right now, Danbury would be 5 points clear in first place, and they would have a little breathing room, but I don't think the breathing room really works for them. I think having them under pressure, the pressure that they've been under, look at the way they've been able to respond.
So we're ready to resume play. Face-off a beat to the right of Jeremy Pominville. Anderson drops it back to the point. Thomas Freeman Fields looks to the net, easily seen and held by Jeremy Pominville, and he holds with 2:20 to go as we're getting ever closer to that final buzzer here at Danbury Arena. And a reminder that you can get updates on all future game streams like Saturday, December 28th at DanburyHattricks.com, and get your tickets at DanburyHattricks.com/tickets.
Yeah, got some great promotions coming up over the next couple of weeks.
That's true. The 28th is a kids club event,
Yes.
is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can sign your kids up as well at DanburyHattricks.com/kids club. All kids get a complimentary ticket to the game.
That's a nice deal.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Can't beat free. Some would say that's the best possible price.
I have heard this.
Other than getting money for going, that would be the best price.
Well, we haven't reached that stage yet. We are a business here, Jack.
Let's not get to that stage, boys.
Final 2 minutes of play here. We hit the 2-minute warning, and it will go down towards the Danbury Hattricks end as Boudreau will be out there with Desjardins and Jamie Lucas, a new-look first line with no more Tyler Jurich. Shinkarik will take the draw opposite Boudreau. Boudreau takes a swipe at it, but it's Shinkarik winning it, and that's another thing that the Danbury Hattricks have to be holding their heads high about, is that they've been very good on the face-off dot when it matters. It really helps kind of settle things down and prevent further chances. It's a great momentum killer as Shinkarik with a nifty move, and his shot is fought off, punched out of the air by Pominville.
Yeah, it's the details that Danbury's doing so well. These little plays that Shinkarik's just making right here. I mean, he creates that whole sequence right there.
Yeah.
That little extra effort, he catches the pass in the neutral zone, carries it around himself, and then sets up Brown for that shot from the blue line. I mean, that's all just that extra effort right now. And again, face-off dots, those checks behind the play, the smart plays to the stick. We've seen a lot of physicality from Danbury today when they're on the puck, not as much skill, but in terms of their physical play, just being a presence has been really, really good from them tonight.
Dearson in the far side corner. If the Hattricks hang on for the final 80 seconds, they will improve to 12-4-0-2 as here's Kasich with a stuff-in try at the far side post, still fighting for it in the blue paint, and Pominville is able to fall on it. He covers it with his backside as Kasich shakes his head skating away from the play.
Well, Kasich had a great opportunity. Pominville didn't know where the puck was, and at some point during that scrum in front, it actually kissed off the crossbar and came back out. Danbury looking to... Well, they come into this game averaging 4.8 goals a game. They've got 5. That number will inch up just a little bit more, but boy, it'd be nice to get over that 5 mark tonight.
Once more trying to force it towards the net as Kasich, but it's taken away by Asselstein, and now up the left wing, here comes Marvin Powell, who will simply forward it towards McGuckin, and he steers it aside as we hit the final 60 seconds. Dearson digs it out, skates up the right wing. A buzz starting to build here in Danbury Arena as the fans are starting to get to their feet, applauding the Danbury Hattricks for their 10th consecutive victory. It ties a Danbury hockey record as McGuckin makes one more save with 39 seconds to go. It ties a 2015-16 record, not since equaled by the Danbury Whalers, who won an FHL championship, not by the Danbury Trashers, who were one of the most dominant teams in the UHL. Not by the Danbury Stars, not by the Danbury Mad Hatters. It is the Titans and the Danbury Hattricks now atop that pedestal. And for a team in its first season to reach that point, that's impressive.
You know, and that's a great point, Casey, because let's not forget, this is an expansion team. You know, there are plenty of familiar faces. You have Nick Nieder here. You have Steve Brown, Aaron Atwell, Phil Bronner. You have those familiar faces, but that's because they know the city, they know the fans. Billy McCreary, as a head coach here in Danbury, certainly first time that he's done that. The ownership structure here, they're new to all this. And now, 21 games into the season, they've built a first-place team.
Final 2 seconds, and that'll do it. How does double digits sound? The Danbury Hattricks have won 10 consecutive games. It ties a franchise record. And they have provided more separation atop the Eastern Division. As it only gets sweeter with each passing game, the Danbury Hattricks extend their lead over the second-place Watertown Wolves.
And they're finding ways, guys, to just win in all sorts and fashions. They didn't have a ton of shots on goal. They weren't particularly dominant in the offensive side of the game, but they made a couple of game-changing plays that will count in this one. And it really started with the goal from Ruiz, I think.
And it's Nicolas Levesque hoisting the barrel with Litchfield Distillery. Levesque, who dropped the gloves and scored a shorthanded goal tonight.
He drops the gloves, he scores a goal, and he gets everybody out of their seats cheering them on as they're watching that last fight in the second period. I mean, what a game for Nick Levesque. A great player, but a great example for some of these rookies to follow as well.
Well, I mean, what a terrific game it is for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, who now find themselves sitting atop all alone in the Eastern Division. They provided some all-important separation. Nicolas Levesque, an assist short of a Gordie Howe hat-trick tonight, but what a night it was for him, and what a night it was for the special teams unit, really. They allow a power play goal on that major penalty, but they still have 2 shorthanded goals to their credit, and that's the kind of missing piece to their game that really, their penalty kill was among the weaker in the FPHL. Now all of a sudden they have one of the most lethal penalty kills after scoring a pair of shorties tonight.
Yeah, you know, you call it a lethal penalty kill. They're still giving up more power play goals than they should be, but at the same time, yeah, if you can score a couple shorties like that, that's not bad.
So Gordy Bennell playing which side wants it more with the puck. He's got himself his award for the 3rd star of the game, had himself a pair of assists, including a beauty of a feed on Aaron Atwells and a redirection towards Steve Mealy. And Nicolas Levesque will get the 2nd star of the game. As they started announcing number 2, Martin Tuma, who, as an update, has a lower body injury, will be listed as day-to-day going forward. We'll see if he plays tomorrow night. But, I mean, whether or not Tuma plays tomorrow night, it's been proven, I think, at this point, that the Hat-Tricks defense can really step up. Hence, why this man is the 1st star of the game. Aaron Atwell, right on cue.
Well, he created a bunch of plays from his own blue line, and he got that last goal there to make it 5-2. Really, really good performance from him. And, you know, you talk about top-tier defensemen. There's a number 77 that you could compare him to, Victor Hedman. He's the number 1 guy in Tampa Bay. There's a 77 right here that's probably earned his way up that rank in terms of being the strongest defenseman for this Danbury Hat-Trick side.
Well, an eventful contest here tonight, and that'll just about do it here from Danbury Arena. We'll be back live on the Danbury Hat-Tricks YouTube channel. That'll be Saturday, December 28th at 7 p.m. as the Danbury Hat-Tricks will be taking on the Elmira Enforcers. And before we go, we do have to give an update that 5 minutes into the 3rd period, the Rumblebees are still clinging to a 5-3 lead.
I told you can't jinx them.
I will say, I want to help promote as many other league streams as possible. I want the league to be as successful as possible. That's as good a game as any. If you're looking for a hockey game to cap off your evening, head to the Rumblebees YouTube page because, you know, you got to support the league, you got to support the team, and here's hoping, boys, that the Rumblebees can make some history here tonight because we already witnessed some history here in the Hat City.
Fingers crossed for the Rumblebees, but yeah, here in Danbury, Casey, you mentioned it, 10-game winning streak. Those don't come around much too often, and Jack, I know you certainly speak with our customers, with our fans out there. The buzz is growing here in Danbury.
I mean, people come into the building and they say, can we get one more tonight? Can we do it? They're very, very excited at the aspect that not only we spent the first couple of games talking that Danbury hockey is back. Successful Danbury hockey is back. That's what we can start to say now.
Which is what they've known, really. The Whalers won a championship. The Titans went to a finals. I mean, this is a city that is accustomed, expectant of success. And the Hat-Tricks are starting to fit that mold. You don't want to look ahead too much, but you're starting to sense the makings of something special here in the Hat City. And on that note, it's about time to wrap things up here at the Danbury Hat Tricks YouTube channel. We want to thank everyone that makes a Danbury Hat Tricks game possible here at the Danbury Arena and behind the scenes. For all of us here at Danbury Arena and for my broadcast partners Jack O'Mara and Zach McGinnis, I'm Casey Bryant saying have a very happy holiday, and we'll see you on the 28th.